to the rat house, baby, where the truth ain't quiet, and neither are you. Where the ChatRats crew slide in, pull up a seat, crime talk, cold facts, and a jazzy backbeat. We got stories to tell, got some justice to serve. So pour up that coffee or something with a swerve. There's Rat Daddy leading 6'5", a cool. Toys the queen with the sharpest of tools. Dean's cracking jokes, Mary B's got the tea, and Lawleen lays the law down, real boss energy. MJ's got the fire. Gingy's taking names. Cassie's dropping Angel Baby's in the game. The clerk's keeping order, Misty's watching close. Pinky promises, keeps receipts, and she does the most. We're the ChatRats, baby, worldwide and bold. Stories unfold while the crime scene gets cold. Puff, puff, pass, and the truth gets exposed. At the rat house, baby, that's how it goes. Snap, snap. Cherry lights it up. Sherry lights it up, neon glow behind her head. Tombstones drops the facts that awake the dead. Connor's taking notes, Janine's on the clock. Hetty the paralegal keeps the court on lock. Sweet woman, sweet, but she'll sting if you like. Calypso keeps it cool, got that island vibe. Prince Lover's in purple, that Texas pride glowing. Sherry's laughing loud while the facts keep flowing. Bum, 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 bum. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, ghetto. OG coming through, crazy-eyed cheese, oh you better believe. Robo-rat clicks, sparks, gears in his head, breaking the code till the lies drop dead. Jump, we're the ChatRats, baby, worldwide and bold. Stories unfold while the crime scene gets cold. Puff, puff, pass, and the truth gets exposed. At the rat house, baby, that's how it goes. Crime solving, cracks. Worlds are stage. That's a fact. Together, we're the ChatRats crew. We ain't looking back.
Boom. What's up, people? What's going on? How are you? What's happening? Welcome to another episode of Rat House Media, whatever that is. What's up, people? Angel. What's up, Laura? Laura J. Gingy's here. Rubicon. Gary Zarola. What's up, Gary? Dang, you didn't show up last time. We thought you might be sick or something. Prince Lova, what's up? Prince Lova, what's up? Everybody just say hey to everybody for a while. Hey, everybody. Oh, Cheryl, that's cheating. You can't just do everybody at once. You gotta do them separate. You gotta do them separate. Hey, B, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, just bored. Doing nothing. What you doing?
I'm bored too. I love when you're bored.
Mary B. My short is almost at 50,000 views.
Damn, that same one?
Yep.
People love like
Still
cutting
going.
shit with saws.
It's still going. Diane G, what's up?
Hey everyone. Hi Angel. Hi Prince Lover.
Yes, we got a big league short going. The Joker
Oh,
has
Gary's here.
50,000 views. I wonder if it'll let me look at it. Can't play it. It's got this
Yeah. Well, can't play any of your shorts.
Nope. Can't do it.
Why can't we just have music on lives? It's so stupid.
Those people are out there working hard to create this stuff.
Well, I mean, you can have it on the other stuff, on the videos and the shorts. What is the difference?
Mhm. No idea.
Well, that pisses
Yeah,
me off.
so the channel busted 100,000 views. We're at about 120,000 views now. Just in case you were wondering. I think I'm the only one that cares, but
Well, what is that? Does that like work into what your requirements are to move up your
Yep.
channel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does.
That's awesome then.
Does. I'm trying to find the analytics page for it.
Yeah, let's see it.
Wow. Sorry. It's minuscule. It's stupid to talk about.
No, it's fun.
Is at 49.1 thousand views.
Wow.
Yeah, some of them I do Prince Lover, some of them I don't. You can never tell which one's gonna do anything. But like right here,
Yeah.
it's
There's
got
no telling.
150 watch hours on a 20-second video. 150 watch hours. That goes towards the good stuff. It's pretty
That's
good.
pretty awesome.
That's the most watch hours of anything that I've posted, shorts or lives. It is now
And
the
it's
winner.
just cutting wood with a saw,
Ooh,
right? I mean, it's cool, but like, I don't know. Like, this is a lot more cool, I think.
Yeah, but
But
they are
different strokes for different folks.
eating it up, which is good for us.
Whatever works.
Got almost 20 subscribers off that one video.
That's awesome.
We're 8 away from ground zero. 8.
You think they're gonna come to the lives?
Nah, I doubt it. But if they watch the shorts, that's worth it.
Yeah.
But ground zero is 243, Mary B. We're at
Oh, is that where we
235.
were?
That's where we were. We're at 235, which
Oh,
means we're
look at
8
that.
away. 8 freaking people. What's up, Super Gay?
Hey, super gay. Not Gary, I'm
Our
guessing, right?
multiple personality friend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where's
MPD.
John Stamos?
They try to tell me that was the real John Stamos. Try
All
to
right.
tell. That's ridiculous. I tried to tell my wife that. She don't believe me.
The real John Stamos thinks I'm hot. I'll take it.
No, Stamos never did the hitting on Mary B.
Yeah, he did.
Did he? Oh, well then
He
it's
did.
super gay. It's definitely super gay then.
Wait, you don't think that John Stamos could be attracted to me?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there's John. There he is.
Told
Hi,
y'all.
John. How's it going?
What up, Stamos? Killing our dreams. You should have just kept that a secret.
Yeah.
Showed up.
I thought that was real. Damn it.
We would have invited you in as the real John Stamos. We would have done it. Easily tricked. Here.
I wonder if Cosgrove will come today too.
Cosgrove.
I love talking about Marlboro with Cosgrove.
So I got some stuff to watch.
Ooh, what we got?
We're going to finish that video about Proctor not interviewing Lucky, which is not very long. It's only like 2 minutes. And then we're going to watch Frame 2. Framed.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then we got one Microdots video and one Next Witness.
Awesome.
We can about doing the Next Witness after this just to warm it up.
Okay.
And it's the verdict. Next Witness. Lot to react.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, it should be good. What's up, Lawling?
Hey guys,
What's up? What you doing?
typical school night. I'm gonna hang out as long as I can though.
Yeah.
Nice.
What time
Sounds
y'all
like
got
a good
to get up
plan.
for school?
Do I know?
What time y'all got to get up every day for school?
I get him up at 6:30. I usually get up around 5:45.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh, that's the
I
worst
start
time of the
getting
day.
him up at 6:30. He usually gets up by 7, and then I'm screaming at him from 7 to 7:30 to hurry, 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 hurry.
And he's not
He-
hurrying.
Nope, he gets it honest. He's got something wrong every morning. He doesn't feel good. Stomach hurts, arm hurts,
Yeah.
something. Doesn't feel like he didn't get enough sleep.
The old stomach hurts. Tell him
Yep.
that one's laid out. That one's done. That's everybody.
Oh, that stomach hurting. Oh, the ghost of Chris Farley's here now. Awesome.
I saw John Stamos.
Yeah, John Stamos is gone now because the ghost of Chris Farley's here, and they can't both be here at the same time.
It seemed like Glare was having the same trouble in his chat tonight.
Oh, was
What?
he?
With who?
They were spamming JFK. There was a JFK. There was a James Jackson GoFundMe, and there was a Static Select, and
Sassy. Been missing Sassy. She ain't been hanging out. I don't know what's
Hey,
wrong.
Sassy.
You better start hanging out again. We're gonna come and find you.
Cheryl, your rat is badass.
Yeah. There's a lot of rat works going on too. So there's some people that don't have rats, like Charlotte, that's getting a rat.
Charlotte needs a rat.
Currently working on Charlotte's rat.
Yay.
Carolyn Forth writes home. Jason Smith. We got some rats coming.
Nice.
If the ghost of Chris Farley would choose one account, we might make him one. Or Adam Sandler or whoever the fuck he is. But we like him. He's nice.
Yeah.
who did I see that? Is it Caroline or Carolyn that you just said?
Caroline.
I saw them as a mod in somebody's chat the other night I was in.
She's
Turtle
a turtle
boy.
boy.
Okay.
Nothing happened, Charlotte. You're a chat rat now. You need a rat avatar.
You're going to
So
get your very own rat.
you're becoming a character. You hung around too long. Now you're fucked.
Oh, Adam Sandler's here.
There he is. Water boy. Mama's wrong again.
Mama's not wrong. You're wrong.
You're wrong, Colonel
Nick.
Sanders.
All right, people, stay in the damn room this time.
Yeah,
Just-
hang out.
It's not going to get any better. I can't promise you that, but we are going to watch some cool stuff. So let's watch this couple minutes of this.
He gave to Michael Proctor. I want to find out if that's bogus or true, because he said a lot of interesting things in there, and we need to get to the bottom of it. Somebody asked it. Somebody's got to get to the bottom of this. So here we go. Hi, I'm looking for Michael Trotter.
He's at town hall.
He's at the town hall. Okay. Is Lucky Law Firm working today?
What do you want?
I'm a reporter.
This is
Yeah, it is. It's the DPW, is it not? Why isn't it for the public? It is for the public.
Please remove.
Well, is Lucky Law Firm working today?
Can you just remove yourself, please?
We're here to investigate the murder of John
I know
Keith.
who you are.
Okay,
Leave.
but
Just leave.
well, it's a public place, isn't it?
No, it's not. Please.
Sure, it is. It's the Department of Public Works.
Please, please. Please leave.
Okay, but where can we find Michael Trotter?
He's at town hall.
They said he's here.
No, this office is at town hall.
Do you have his phone number?
No. Can you please remove yourself?
Okay, who are you?
Please remove yourself.
Well, can you identify yourself first?
Can you please remove yourself?
I,
I'll tell you when we're outside.
you're gonna come out with me? Okay, you're gonna tell me your name. Okay.
He's at town hall lower floor. My name is Joey Walsh.
Oh, you're Billy Walsh. So you're the one that sent Lucky Law Firm out that night, correct?
I have no comment.
But you did send him out that
I
night.
have no comment.
And do you guys employ a company called By the Yard?
I have no comment.
Does the town of Canton does the Canton DPW plow all of the roads in Canton?
Correct.
Okay, so there's no company called By the Yard that
I have no
subcontracts?
comment.
But you guys, would Fairview Road be under the
I
purview
have
of
no
the,
comment.
Misty?
I have no comment.
but you said you plow all the roads.
I have no comment.
Why not?
I just have no comment.
But does it's a pretty straightforward question.
Thank
Can you answer it? Yes, you can answer it.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Pleasure. Have you spoken with a man named Michael Proctor, Detective Michael Proctor?
Yeah, back in whenever, was it 22 when this
Yeah,
happened?
2022.
Back in 2022.
February 3rd. Why would Lucky Lawford be there at 2:30 then?
Beware.
Because he told me that he plowed Fairview Road at 2:30.
I don't know. I don't know when they started, and I don't know. They don't necessarily. I don't know how he does his route. I don't know where he
He
starts.
told
and
me he
where
came
he
down
finishes.
Cedar Crest from Dedham, and
Yeah.
then he went down Fairview that way.
That's quite possible.
Okay. And then he said he went back later on and he couldn't do a street because there was a car parked in front of Fairview.
We generally have two. We generally have two people on every route. So there's usually a town plow with a contract plow. But most routes in town have a private contractor or a contractor and a town vehicle. And the town vehicle usually tells the private guy
Brooklyn?
where to go or how to do the route.
Oh, if Toy's listening, Brooklyn also needs a rat suit. I think this is about the end of the video. Michael Proctor lied about what Trotta told him because he didn't want to interview Lucky Lawford.
Case was closed by then.
Mm-hmm. No
That
need
might
to.
have been planted. He couldn't go back on that.
You don't want to talk to honest people.
That's right. That is correct, though. So, what do you think? I think we're going to jump over here and do a Microdots video about John Connelly. It's one of the first videos that he did. And then we'll watch Framed.
Cool.
Sound like, yeah, let's do it in that order.
I like it.
Microdots. There's something about
Gonna stop that music?
is the whole thing like that?
No.
On the evening of July 14th,
What's for
2022, a retirement dinner party was held at the Blue Hills Country Club for then Chief of the Canton Police Department, Ken Berkowitz. It was an intimate affair, with a small group of powerful friends and colleagues in attendance to provide Chief Berkowitz with a proper send-off. The impressive guest list included names you may recognize, including Norfolk County District Attorney Michael W. Morris.
Yes, it is, Clerk. Notice the voice.
Yeah.
Notice the voice.
The new Canton Chief of Police who was handpicked to replace Berkowitz, Helena Rafferty. Special Agent Brian Higgins of the ATF. The longest-serving member of the Canton Select Board, John Connelly, and none other than Boston police officer Brian Albert, owner of the home where John O'Keefe was found dead not 5 months prior to this event. In this examination, we will juxtapose the demeanor and physical cues of John Connelly as he engages with two distinct audiences: a gathering of peers within their common social circle, and a gathering of Canton citizens expressing concerns during a recent select board meeting. It is noteworthy that both settings catered to audiences of approximately similar sizes.
October 1992.
We will begin with John Connelly as he speaks at Ken Berkowitz's retirement party. Throughout his speech, he laughed and told jokes as he recounted glowing stories about his time working with the former chief. Here, he becomes emotional as he presents an award to Berkowitz.
Extends sincere congratulations as you retire after 30 years of exemplary service. Your dedication and commitment to the community is hereby recognized and appreciated. The Canton Select Board, June 2022. On behalf of myself and the board and the people of this town, I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Thank you.
It's clear John Connelly treats his friends with admiration and respect. For comparison, let's observe his reaction as a concerned citizen asks a question during the Canton Select Board meeting on July 11th, 2023.
Ask one very quick question. You're coming before the board here at a time when the board and your department is under very significant scrutiny. My question is simply whether your decision to ask for these particular funds considered any of the recent concerns that some citizens in Canton and beyond have had involving the integrity of the action or inaction of the Canton Police.
We're not asking for any funds. I mean,
You're just asking if you can get these particular.
We just wanted to.
Williams.
It's clear Connelly is disgusted. However, what was to transpire at a select board meeting just weeks later would remove any doubt anyone had about how Chairman Connelly really feels about the citizens who pay his salary.
But the behaviors that we've seen, that one of the women mentioned the whole list of cases and foreclosures and everything else. I think I'm just going to ask directly, Mr. Albert, will you resign and save this town? Will you save this town and resign tonight?
Yeah, I think that might be out of order.
It might be out of order.
So
but, excuse me,
okay,
Did you catch that?
Rita. Yeah.
John Connelly was caught on a microphone speaking the phrase, fucking random citizens under his breath.
Oh, God. Remember how bad everybody was pissed off about this random fucking citizens thing? Oh, sorry for the cussing, Lawleen. But Connelly said it, I didn't say it. I was just repeating it. But I love Rita.
Rita's awesome.
I can listen to Rita talk for hours.
Let's play it again, this time isolating his statement and enhancing the audio for clarity.
Elected by the citizens. Elected by the citizens. Elected by the citizens. Elected by the citizens.
In researching this documentary, we interviewed many random citizens of Canton to get their opinion of Connelly. One account in particular shocked our team. They were willing to speak to us for the film, under the agreement that their identity be concealed and their voice changed. This is what they had to say.
John Connelly has been in his position for so long, he thinks of Canton as his town. I know John has blue and red flashing police lights on his car and carries a Canton police badge. I can confirm this myself after witnessing him trying to find his police badge on the sidewalk outside his car one day. He had apparently dropped it and was trying to locate it. I'm not sure why he's allowed to have these things, or if it's even legal for him to do so.
Title 1, Chapter 268, Section 33 of Massachusetts law states, whoever falsely assumes or pretends to be a sheriff, deputy sheriff, constable, or police officer shall be punished by a fine of not more than $400 or by imprisonment for not more than 1 year. By now, you may be asking yourself, what could cause a man who's been serving on this board since the Berlin Wall fell in 1989 to treat people he's sworn an oath to serve in such a way? In an attempt to answer that question, let's hear from Dacher Keltner, professor of psychology at the University of California and author of The Power Paradox, How We Gain and Lose Influence.
One of the things that we've learned in 20 years of studying power is it does pretty reliably make you more impulsive, and we can sort of deconstruct that if you want to. And then it kind of knocks out your ability, or diminishes your ability to empathize with other people, to feel compassion, to know carefully what other people are thinking. And your question is, well, how does that happen, right? Mm-hmm. And one way in which it happens is within your mind, when you feel powerful, there's a shift from thinking about what other people are interested in, and you tend to prioritize instead your own interests and desires and the thoughts in your mind. So you become a little bit more narcissistic. And then I think the other thing that we often lose sight of is one of the reasons that you see abuses of power in every
missing. This is Microdots, one of the first videos before the patented voice.
Imaginable context, and really over history, is the social context kind of enables the abuses of power. People around you, when you feel powerful, don't hold you accountable. They don't critique you. They don't sort of make sure that you're behaving in a more ethical way.
He
This
looks like
lack of
David Spade.
empathy also makes it difficult for the subject to
Exactly
apologize.
what I was thinking.
On August 17th, 2023, 9 full days after he insulted his own constituents in their presence, an apology was issued in the Canton Citizen newspaper by John Connelly. However, you would be forgiven for not noticing, as its placement resembles a literal footnote in scale and importance. We contacted the same witness who spoke earlier in this presentation for comment about the apology. She told us that although it's too late for her liking, she is willing to accept Connelly's apology, with just one stipulation. It's followed by a resignation letter.
No, you ain't crying on here, you motherfucker.
The
All right.
music, jeez.
Stop it. All right. Lawlene, your choice. Do 20
Put
minutes.
that pressure on me.
20 minutes of next witness, the verdict, and then watch
Leave it
frame.
up to the chat. I sent you that video from today too.
Yeah, I gotta go through it for commercials and stuff.
You don't hear the commercials. He's talking to his audience, but you can fast forward through them because you can tell when they go live again.
Okay. It's just to watch it while we watch frame, and then we'll
The
watch it.
chat is getting very interesting.
The what is?
The
I feel
chat.
like there's some
Oh,
trolls in the chat.
13 of-
No, it's been so long since I've seen Jeff Williams. Not
know.
since the
I
verdict.
feel like Jeff Williams is like a David Spade, Adam Sandler name at this point.
Yeah, that is Jeff Williams.
You think so?
Mm,
I feel like the David Spade and Adam Sandler and Steve, Super Gay, Gary. I think that's all one person, but I think Jeff
whatever.
Williams.
They're not doing anything wrong. They're just
No, they're fine.
Anybody
They
else?
just want to go on a date with your wife, Danny.
Oh my god, everybody does.
Jeff,
Telling
how do
you,
you feel
you're
about
gonna
the
be on
verdict?
here with me one day, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck? What the
I
fuck
know
are you?"
she's out of your league.
Hell yeah. You ain't got to be good looking. You got to be smart. Smart.
Yes, that's more important.
Yeah, and funny. Funny helps.
Yes,
If
definitely.
you're ugly, you damn well better be funny. You know what I'm
And
saying?
smart. Yeah.
You
Humor
better
and
be-
brain class.
You better
Yep.
get some jokes, books, and read them and memorize some shit.
Yeah, like I can't be
You're
here
ugly.
explaining my jokes all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
I was
that's
listening to Rodney Dangerfield earlier. I had like 35 ugly jokes for you, but I forgot.
Oh,
I
Rodney.
listened to 30 minutes of Rodney Dangerfield, the best of earlier, which is mostly on Johnny Carson's show, and I fucking love Johnny Carson. It reminds me of a little bitty kid. I love it. Man, Johnny Carson was fucking hilarious.
I remember when the internet said Rodney Dangerfield was dead when he wasn't, and he came on and he's like, even in death, I get no respect.
Oh my god, you remember the movie Ladybugs?
Yes, that was the best girl soccer movie ever.
Best movie ever. Martha.
100 times I watched that. But he said earlier his wife was so fat and so ugly when he went to the beach, they asked him what he used for bait.
The catcher.
Justice of the Superior Court, holding in Dedham within and for the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated.
It's day 36 of the Karen Reed trial.
Could be a verdict, people.
If
Could
it's a
be
verdict,
a verdict.
that's
It's 209. It's 209 on the East Coast. Let's do that 227, baby.
Almost 227.
227
verdict,
baby.
27
Let's go.
verdict.
Well, we knew it was going to be a chaotic day today, didn't we? We saw that one in the forecast.
It is wild. Like I've never seen that many people out there.
In Karen Reed, the parties have been summoned back to court.
So we are on verdict watch. I would think if it is a verdict, they would say that and say what time they're going to read the verdict.
I don't know. Somebody's saying the parties are coming back to court.
And all the parties have been called back to the courtroom right now.
Here comes Karen.
20 hours. It's been 20 hours.
Well,
Here they come.
So it might be another jury question. It may be that they're deadlocked.
I don't know what it means. What if anything it means? It's 2:03 p.m.
We don't know what the issue is. We're going to go to court.
Ooh, a little bit of anxiety.
Oh, Alan Jackson gave the
I love you. Yeah.
I think that's what it looked like. Yep.
I see the fan here.
Fan is still up.
Everybody's asking to keep the fan on, so we'll let it go.
Verdict clock is still ticking.
The verdict clock continues to tick.
I haven't really invested anything in this law and crime clock.
We're wasting time, killing time, but it's funny. So we're not really wasting anything.
There have been reports that there's not another jury question. There have been reports there's not a jury note.
Well, I have to say, and I've got OnlyFan watching too, guys. As soon as OnlyFan moves, I'll take us off the sea of pink.
But the only one that really knows what's going on right now is that bailiff. He knows if there's a verdict or not.
So
I feel pretty confident. I don't know.
He knows if it's a question or not.
I was going to say that it could be a verdict.
He knows what the questions are, but obviously he doesn't know the answers.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Maybe it's guilty on the top count across the board, and we'll all be really sad.
It's an unlikely state of affairs because you never know because you have no idea what the jury is doing, no idea what the foreperson is doing.
Anything is possible at this point. I would just be surprised if they didn't actually announce a verdict.
I am just hoping that at the end of the day, DePetro gets more jail time than Karen Reed.
Everybody is trying to find every indication, how the jurors are dressed, et cetera, et cetera.
Cheryl, why are you confused? Cheryl says she's confused.
But is she dazed?
I don't know, but it lags, so we got to wait for her comment. Exactly, MJ. What? Cheryl says she's confused. I don't know why. But we're watching this next witness video. Oh my God, it's Pat. We've got the entire fucking Saturday Night Live cast here.
Oh, yeah. Too.
Yeah, Stuart.
We need Will Ferrell.
The other people, I appreciate you hanging out. The last two lives sucked, so I appreciate it. Hit the like. We're just watching some next witness. If you're not,
Everybody's thinking it's a verdict.
We'll see. If it's a verdict, we're going to watch it here together.
According to Sue O'Connell, a court officer walked by me with a medium-sized envelope with the back fastened closed.
How do you feel?
Really nervous.
Oh, Lord.
We're literally trying to tier leaf read what is in the envelope at this point. This is great.
And yes, very nervous. Here we go.
Well, she looks all business.
Yep.
Much better in the face.
Thank God.
All right. I appreciate you all getting back here. During the luncheon break, I received word from a court officer that the jury had knocked on the door, indicating that they had a verdict. But before I could even summons everybody into court, shortly thereafter, they knocked again and said they didn't have a verdict.
Watch Jimmy and Betterow. This is great. Watch Jimmy and Betterow. They're my favorite two reactions.
There's so many of them talking, and then y'all talking. I'm like, did they talk? I can't tell who's talking. There's 8 people talking, which I like because I wish I could get that many people on here, and then we could all talk at once for 1 whole minute.
Yes.
That would be fucking cool.
The trick is to just
So
watch it over and
I
over.
asked the court officer to tell them to put that verdict slip in an envelope and seal it, and to give it to us. Paul, do you?
Runkle is the winner of all of these LawTuber reacts. It doesn't matter which one. If Runkle's on there, he wins.
Wait, so they do have a one verdict?
I don't know.
Do you have?
Oh no!
What else can happen in this case?
This is going to have real implications going forward. So just wait. I've got a lot to say about this.
And to give it to us. Paul, do you have it?
What?
This is insane. I've never heard of
I haven't.
this.
It's been sealed. I'm now going to seal it in the legal sense. So this is sealed. No one will have access to it. It will be preserved and made part of this record.
So you're
I'm
not
going to
accepting
ask
it.
to be marked. It's marked for ID with the word jury.
No, they need to ask. They need to find out, do they have a verdict on any counts? No. They've got, I feel like they have a fucking verdict on something.
Are we in a game show?
We're going to have 2 verdicts, apparently. Hope they get the right one when it comes time to publish the real verdict.
So we do not have a verdict because, as we all know, there is no verdict until it is announced and
We are all
recorded in
painfully
open
aware.
court. So we are still awaiting a verdict. So we'll
Connor, finish that, dude. Finish it. That would be
see everybody later.
You gotta put.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Now,
yeah, that
He
would
has to put Yellow Cottage Tales reaction
Oh.
in his video.
now I
That's
feel
the
like an
best.
adrenaline rush all of a sudden.
Wow.
Wait, what the fuck is happening?
for me.
Okay, what the fuck just happened? So just to recap what happened, Judge Connelly says during the lunch hour, there's a knock at the door.
In this case, which of course is already one of one and so out of the norm, has just had a situation where the jury said, here's a verdict over lunch.
The jury knocked, indicating they have a verdict.
They have a verdict, and they apparently provided a signed verdict slip.
And then, before we could get everybody together, another knock. Just kidding. We don't have a verdict.
And then, before anyone went and checked with them, they said, just kidding. JK, we don't have a verdict.
But then said they have no verdict.
And then they knocked on the door and said, never mind, just kidding. Somebody changed their mind.
And the first verdict that is not a verdict has been placed into a sealed envelope.
And she has decided that means they have no verdict because she has not accepted and recorded the verdict.
And
is
filed
sealed.
under seal.
Yeah.
What does that mean? This is obviously a confusing situation.
What in the fuck, man?
I'm not even sure what to think of that right now.
And
But she took a verdict slip from them and put it in an envelope.
Yeah. So my question is, the jury, when they're back there, they only have one copy of the verdict form. So if they spoiled the copy that's currently in the envelope,
They have a verdict, but only one slip.
at what point were they given a new copy, and by whom, under what circumstances, and so forth?
Let's hope there's not some fights going on in that jury room.
It sounds like a bully juror, potentially. Like somebody got bullied into voting a certain way and then changed their mind.
What does that mean? Verdict, no verdict, yes verdict. Somebody had to be strong-armed. Is that what that means? Did somebody have to be strong-armed? They had to be placated. They had to be re-persuaded. They had to be bribed. They had to be what?
Judge said, well, the jury said they did have a verdict, and then they said they didn't have a verdict. But I've got something here in this envelope that we're going to seal up and nobody's going to look at it. And we're just going to mark it and put it into the court record.
Do we ask them, have you reached a verdict on any of the counts? That's it.
Surely we would ask. We would ask for a partial verdict at this point.
And on the record, she should clear it up.
Yeah, I think it would be totally appropriate to maybe ask some clarifying questions, or see.
Yes,
what's going
I
on,
have
but
some
we're not
clarifying questions like what and the fuck.
Right.
They reached a verdict to the point where they put it in writing.
You see this double standard. You see this double standard with how the law works.
And then after they handed the written verdict to the court official to give to the court,
They then knock again and say, just kidding.
Right.
Apparently.
What?
This is not a verdict because it was not in open court. Okay. According to the judge, they changed their mind. It was never read in open court. It's gone.
It's not final. It's not a verdict till we say it's a verdict.
This verdict was filled out, was dated, was signed, was sealed, and nobody gets to see it.
Even if you sign it off, hand it to them.
How did they get their hands on this envelope?
Well, then the judge asked them to take whatever verdict sheet they used to come to a verdict and then uncome to a verdict. Whatever they did when they came to a verdict, they took that one, even though they've changed their mind and it's not been accepted or any of that. It's in an envelope so that it's part of the record for later.
We're at third or fourth hand at that point, right? You have the jurors talking to the bailiff, talking to the judge. What if the juror said, we have a verdict, and then they're like, well, we actually have a question about the verdict, and the bailiff took that to mean, well, they don't have a verdict anymore, and they really just had a question. There's just so many things that can be lost in translation.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that could be going on, and this is a very suspicious activity that we had here, and that's why she really should have cleared it up.
Obviously, nobody should see what this non-verdict verdict is, and then they're going to come back with another verdict, which will be the so-called real verdict, which may or may not be different than the not real verdict. This is
Messy. Messy, messy, messy.
What was said? What happened? How did we get here?
So, nope, pretend this never happened. Never mind the man behind the curtain.
Yes.
And come to find out, another M. Night Shyamalanian twist in this goddamn fucking. Oh, my blood pressure's not good after.
That is an appropriate comparison because his movies are awful. So
yes.
Unless it was also a way just to avoid doing it at 227. Kidding.
I mean,
Well, for the second time in this trial,
Federer just pulled a clerk on him, Jerry. He busted him
Yeah.
with the 227 joke. That's clerk shit. Bettero ought to know about copyright. He's a lawyer, so
Don't be stealing clerk shit.
then we're gonna have to send Bettero a letter. Telling him if he wants
You
to
can
use
write
that
it.
material, he just needs to get it in writing that he has permission. You know, it's just a formality. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Clerk
Well-
don't play about his 227 now.
We'll let
oh,
it
the
slide.
text message has been deleted.
Yeah, he don't play. Lawleen, did you see, or were you here earlier when I showed that the short almost has 50,000 views now?
No, but I saw in Discord where you said something was up to like 20 something thousand and go watch it. And I clicked on it and it said it had been removed by user. Was that something different?
Yeah, you clicked on the wrong one.
No, I clicked on it several times. So okay.
But yeah, it's almost at 50,000 views.
No, I'll go
150
back to them individually and make sure I've watched them all.
150 watch hours on 20-second video. Pretty
Deleted at 227.
Let's see if I can find a fan somewhere.
Let's just put this one on.
Hey, what's that?
Hopefully that's okay with everybody.
Real nice.
Looks like here we go. Here we go.
Real nice.
Court TV has the fan.
Still just the fan everywhere.
Love the
Still just the fan everywhere.
Big fan of the fan.
It's there, guys.
Missed
Won't miss it.
Something came through at 1:53. Court guards just brought in a first aid kit and an AED to the side room.
What?
Because there's a couple of older parents. They're just being precautionary.
6 minutes ago, Karen looks extremely strong and brave right now. She's trying to hold it together, clearly fighting back tears. Her lawyers are all hugging her.
Too much coffee.
Well, dude, it's a big fucking day. It was the biggest day of my life.
Oh man, this is a big day.
This is extremely emotional. I can't even read the tweets. I'm so emotional.
Oh man, this is a lot.
There are
This is-
thousands of people standing outside in anticipation.
So there are a lot of people down there right now.
They've shut down the entire street outside. I can see out the window. The entire sidewalk and stairs of the registry are packed with people in pink.
I mean, I suspect they're on all hands on deck on the security right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at on Boston.
I was fucking at work. Oh my god, this shit was killing me.
I was
Me
messing
too.
with you too. I'm like, they're about to announce it. Get on here with us.
I had my phone in my pocket, playing one. I can't remember who I was playing. I was just listening for the cue. It's like,
I
please,
had
what's-
one coworker like interested, so I was able to watch it with someone, but I was fucking there the day before.
Yeah.
So pissed.
Misty
I called
wanted to-
MJ too because she was at work and she wanted someone to let her know.
Yeah, it was crazy. This shit was driving me nuts.
10, they've got a dual stream of OnlyFan and the outside.
They're all outside the courthouse.
Cops are everywhere. Helicopters can be heard overhead.
But there's a lot of people down there.
We have been waiting for this moment for 2.5 years, tweets Aidan Kearney.
I gotta pee. I haven't peed in like 3 hours because I can't. I feel like if I pee, the world's gonna end.
Do not take this
Yeah.
stream into the bathroom, sir. We don't not need a stream on a stream. It's
Stream on a stream.
Dual streaming. Yeah.
Bring a new meaning to dual streaming.
3 minutes ago, Alan Jackson is pacing by himself, cheeks puffing in and out. He's deep in thought. Never seen him like this.
Here we go.
What's up, Calypso?
And it's been pitched in such a way it sounds like it might even be a verdict that she'll accept.
All right, folks.
Glad that we all get to take this in together.
What's up, Mike?
I gotta remember to breathe. I always forget to breathe.
Thanks for coming back.
Definitely breathe.
She gonna be your happy, bubbly self with the jury?
Uh-huh.
Will the deliberating jurors remain standing? Defendant remain standing? All other parties may be seated.
Oh my
May
God.
the record reflect that 12 deliberating jurors and 6 alternates are present.
Yes.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman, members of the jury, have you agreed upon a verdict?
Oh my
Can I
God.
see the papers? Mr. Foreman, has the verdict slip been placed in this envelope and have they been in your presence ever since?
Some fancy split screen.
Good one, Cheryl. As for so long, you were fucking wrong. I'll watch this shit.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty? Not guilty. So say you,
Not
Mr. Foreman?
No surprise.
So say you? No, no. Do you agree? Yes. Do all of you agree? Thank you.
Polling is
002. What say is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty? Not guilty. Is not guilty or guilty about that charge or any lesser included charge? Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? Yes. So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all?
They made the right call. On
003. What say is the defendant at the bar?
Wait, what?
Did they say guilty or not guilty for that? I don't-
Is guilty test. Is the defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Oh, you're outside.
Judge, how can your verdict is the court records, and you upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating in the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, jurors, everybody
Wow.
please be seated.
The most expensive plea lie of all time.
Every single lawgiver in agreement.
I agree. We'll talk.
It's loud out there.
Look at Melanie. Did you see Melanie's face?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was definitely the most emotional.
Yeah. Everybody else was kind of doing something. Watch Melanie.
Not guilty. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, jurors, everybody
Wow.
please be seated.
The most expensive plea lie of all time.
Records, and you upon your
Now this go round, which shouldn't be hard for you, Lawleen. Watch
Oh,
LYK.
I've seen it
Like,
small.
this-
I've done watched it 1,000 times. I just
I mean-
like how every single attorney is in agreement with the verdict. That's awesome.
They are. It was crazy, but watch LYK. It's immediate.
And his dad does thumbs up.
oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating in the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, jurors, everybody
Wow.
please be
Wow.
seated.
The most expensive plea lie.
That's happy.
Look at
all
that smile.
Look at all of them. I still feel bad for Kurt that Auntie Deb and Glare were talking shit. He was in the fucking chat.
Well, he does kind of suck. I mean, I feel bad for him
Well,
because
Blair was on that stream up until they said there was a verdict, and he left, and he didn't announce where he was going. He
Yeah.
goes, I'm going to go watch this with someone I feel like it's more right that I watch it with. And I was like, who was that? Like,
he
where
went
did
to
you
Annie
go?
Elise.
Yeah, I found out later, but I
Yeah.
watched with Melanie and Betteru.
I could watch
I
that.
think I
over.
was watching with Melanie and Bettero too.
We waited so long to watch that, and then it went by so fast. It's like, God, I just wanted it to last 3 days.
I don't know. It didn't go by. The actual announcement did not go fast. Like I was on edge every time they started stuttering over the.
I was on the way
verdict.
home, I had my phone on the dashboard of the fucking truck. It's like trying to listen to it, like wind and the tools and shit. It's like I can't fucking hear. Cannot fucking hear.
Janine's here.
Janine.
Here. What up?
Yo,
Yo, what's up, Jenny Lynn?
what's going on, brother?
Shit.
Hey, Jeannie.
Hey, hey, my bestie, Lauleen.
What's happening?
Love that chat. What's going on? What did I miss?
We were just watching the thing that happened the day after we were at the courthouse.
The verdict.
Goddamn.
This is me.
I know. Oh my God. Remember that moment? Remember the moment where Yannetti looked at us?
Yes.
We fucking knew. We were like, oh, this is it. This is it. And it was electric. And then it was just like, oh my God. It was just like, it was a spear in the balloon. And the balloon went, poof. All the air came out of it. It was horrible. Well, we thought we had a,
yeah, that's what we need to do. Everybody in the chat, put who you were watching the verdict with. Let's see where everybody was watching it.
Yeah. Well, we thought we had a verdict at the courthouse. We were with a whole crew with a big group of people, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, we were about to crank up some frame too.
Hello.
We hadn't watched that
Hey,
yet.
MJ.
We've all watched it.
Hi, MJ.
What's up?
MJ.
What's up?
Oh, hi, Danny.
Oh my God. Now, hold on. I got something for your ass. What? Bam.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Such an asshole.
Oh my God. I'm gonna get fucking booted off the internet.
Oh yeah, I have to be nice to you now and not swear at you on your stream. Joe, you weren't watching the picture. He was in the courtroom.
Shelly Babes is a new person here, isn't she?
New people.
Who, Shelly Babes?
Noobs.
I've seen Shelly Babes.
Anyways.
Probably in the chats.
Connor said he watched the verdict with DePietro. I know Joe Biffle said. He was in the courtroom and wasn't supposed to be.
Before
Is Jeff still on the show?
watch some of this framed too.
I was massaging during the verdict.
Kazi's here.
Oh, I bet you were, Jenny.
Oh, Kazi's back. What's up, Kazi?
Massaging someone else, MJ.
Indicted. Janine, you're getting
For money.
indicted. Hey, Kazi, can you indict Janine Campa, please?
Yeah, I'm ready. Take me away.
She lives up there in Connecticut. You can
Come and get
that one. He's gonna hand deliver that to you tomorrow.
Catch me if you can, Makazi. I can't
Get
believe
him
we
at the waterfall for lunch to talk it over. All right, here we go. Turtle Boy.
I'm the founder of Turtle Boy Daily News. For the last 2 years, I've been reporting on the murder of John O'Keefe.
I'm gonna fucking keep doing this until he gets his charges gone, because I'm pissed that these other people aren't doing it, and they got all of these people that watch them, but nobody's doing this. Like, just make it about Turtle Boy until we can fucking get these dumbass charges gone.
Stop swearing, Danny. You're gonna get kicked off YouTube.
No, only for you.
Oh, that's messed up.
Oh no, is that a thing? Are you monetized now?
MJ better watch her mouth.
And the prosecution of Karen Reed. In doing so, I've exposed unprecedented amounts of corruption in the Massachusetts State Police and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. As a result of my relentless journalism and activism, this case has gotten more attention than any murder case since O.J. Simpson. Millions of people now know that Karen Reed was framed and that the people who murdered John O'Keefe were protected by their friends and family in law enforcement. This has led to widespread outrage and demonstrations outside the courthouse and in the streets across the country. Because of the damaging effect that my reporting and protesting has had on the Commonwealth's case and reputation, I was arrested by the same police I've been exposing and charged with 16 counts of felony witness intimidation, conspiracy, and picketing. The charges are completely meritless and were designed to get me to stop reporting and stop leading this movement for justice. An overview of my charges can be found in the video linked in the description. When I first started writing about this case, I made a video called Framed, which was a condensed overview of the case at the time. However, much has come to light since then, including a trial that ended in a hung jury. And as we enter the retrial, an updated version of Framed is needed. This video is the complete summary of the most important facts of the case.
Look how flat the street is.
which proved undeniably that Karen Reed was innocent and that the people who murdered John O'Keefe framed her for their crimes. On January 29th, 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found dead outside Brian Albert's house in Canton during a severe blizzard. O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, who had dropped him off there earlier, became the sole suspect and was charged with manslaughter. She was later indicted for second-degree murder. Authorities claimed Reed hit O'Keefe with her SUV and fled the scene. However, emerging evidence pointed to O'Keefe being beaten inside Albert's house and left on the lawn to frame Karen Reed. The well-connected Albert family has been protected by their friends and family in law enforcement and the DA's office. They expected Karen Reed to give up and take a plea deal, but instead she fought back, uncovering details of the conspiracy surrounding the case. Karen Reed was arrested and charged with manslaughter on February 1st, 2022. Her attorney, David Yannetti, did not allege any conspiracy to frame his client at her February 2nd arraignment. Outside of court, Yannetti simply said,
I think that there was a lot of political pressure on this district attorney's office to bring charges in light of the fact that a police officer.
Ladies, you want me to freeze that right there for a second so you can soak in some of that Yannetti?
Yes, please.
That's young Yannetti.
He's so dreamy, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's not. I love him.
And super smart.
Was the victim here? This is a
You remember we watched that?
too.
How full and dark his hair is.
I know, right?
Lauline, what was that we watched when he was doing the seminar, but it was like a closing argument?
That was back when we watched the
House.
case that he did when he was a prosecutor. The
He
little
won
boy
the
that
best
was
for
murdered.
that
little boy.
The closing, right?
It was the closing he did.
He did the reenactment of it. What the fuck was his name, Lauline? The little boy. I
The
feel
locals will know. I can't remember.
he was killed by
case.
two
you that
horrible men who were his neighbors, and he did. Jeffrey Curley, thank you, Jermaine.
Yeah.
Yes.
This man
Jeffrey
is devastated.
Boy.
He did not state or suggest that his
R.I.P.,
client
sweetie.
O'Keefe with her car. Karen was admittedly drunk on the evening of January 28th and had no memory of hitting John O'Keefe with her car. She says that she saw him go into the house, but had no idea how he ended up dead on the lawn. She began to wonder if she could have accidentally bumped into John without realizing it. One thing that didn't cross her mind in the days after John died was that the people inside Brian Albert's house would beat him up and throw him on the lawn to die like trash. That changed on February 3rd, 2022, the day after Reed's arraignment. Yannetti was visited in his Boston office by a man named Steve Scanlon. Scanlon was a former corrections officer and a longtime friend of Brian Albert. He told Yannetti that he should look at the people inside the house and opined that O'Keefe was beaten up by Brian Albert, an ATF agent, and Albert's nephew, and that they later moved his body to where Reed found him at 6 a.m. Although Scanlon didn't specify names, didn't mention Colin Albert or Brian Higgins in particular, they were the only ones who matched this description who were at the house that night. This was the first time Karen had heard that Colin was at the house, and it suddenly started making sense what had happened. From that point on, she began investigating the investigation into her and discovered that she was being framed. Scanlon wanted to be a whistleblower, but since he's a coward, he also wanted to remain anonymous and wouldn't sign an affidavit for David Yannetti. When I spoke with Scanlon, he told me that he didn't know for sure what had happened to John, but said that the injuries to John, quote, didn't add up. There's just one problem with that, though. John's autopsy photos weren't released at that time, and his injuries hadn't been reported by any media outlets. So Scanlon would have no idea what his injuries were. Scanlon wasn't wrong, though. When people get run over by cars, they generally have bruises all over their body and broken bones. Not John O'Keefe, though. He had no bruises or broken bones below his nose, but he did have 2 black eyes, defensive wounds on his knuckles, a 3-inch laceration in the back of his head, indicating that he had been hit by a blunt object, and what appears to be dog bites exclusively on his right arm. You don't have to be a doctor to know that a car did not do that. Karen Reed and John O'Keefe dated 20 years ago and reconnected romantically after speaking on Facebook during the pandemic. During those 20 years, John left his job as a Duxbury police officer to join the Boston Police Department. In 2014, John's sister and brother-in-law tragically died in less than 3 months of each other, leaving John's young niece and nephew without their parents. John stepped up and became their parent, raising them alone and moving to Canton. Karen worked for Fidelity as a financial analyst and was an adjunct professor at Bentley University. She owned a home in Mansfield, but for all intents and purposes was cohabitating with O'Keefe and acting as a de facto stepmother to O'Keefe's niece and nephew. Text messages leading up to the night O'Keefe was killed show that Reed felt taken advantage of by John, as some referred to her as the, quote, babysitter with benefits. Ouch. John didn't like how she spoiled the kids. They argued, as many couples do, sometimes in front of the kids, and discussed breaking up. There was an incident in Aruba a month before John died where Karen angrily confronted a woman named Marietta Sullivan and accused her of kissing John, and Karen Karen was frustrated that John got drunk during the trip and left her to take care of his kids. Karen herself sought validation and attention from an ATF agent friend of John's named Brian Higgins, who she flirted with over texts in January of 2022, but ultimately ended up ghosting him after a tap kiss in John's garage 2 weeks before John died. One time, John told Karen to leave the house, but they never ended up breaking up because Karen was so helpful with the children. Despite their occasional arguments, John and Karen were lovey-dovey at CF McCarthy's on the night that she allegedly killed him and was described by witnesses to be affectionate towards one another. On Friday, January 28th, the huge winter storm coming to Massachusetts was all over the news. John and Karen texted back and forth all day, talking about problems in their relationship. But whatever issues they had with each other wasn't enough to keep them apart that night, as John repeatedly invited her to Canton to drive him around to the bars and get snowed in with him and the kids for the weekend. John went out to a local bar called CF McCarthy's with his friends Mike Camerano and Kurt Roberts. Karen drove in from Mansfield and met them there at 9 p.m. She immediately began ordering drinks and could be seen on camera paying for 4. By 11 o'clock, Reed and O'Keefe made plans to go to a bar across the street and meet up with a woman named Jennifer McCabe, who O'Keefe was friends with because his niece was friends with one of McCabe's 4 daughters. McCabe was at the bar with her husband, Matt McCabe, her sister, Nicole Albert, Nicole's husband, Brian Albert, Brian's brother, Chris Albert, and Chris's wife, Julie Albert. Joining them there was Brian Higgins, the ATF agent Reed had previously flirted with earlier in the month before, quote, ghosting him. While they were there, Jennifer McCabe invited O'Keefe to Brian Albert's house for an after party, where Brian Albert Jr. was celebrating his 23rd birthday with several friends and his 17-year-old cousin, Colin Albert. One witness described McCabe as trying to separate John from Karen, who had no interest in going to an after party at a stranger's house. After an hour, the bar closed, and Brian and Nicole Albert left to go back to their home at 34 Fairview Road. Higgins can be seen on video yelling and pointing in O'Keefe's direction before being held back and restrained by Chris Albert. While he was at the bar, he had texted O'Keefe's girlfriend, well, as if to say, why are you ignoring him? He was drunk, upset with O'Keefe, and felt disrespected by O'Keefe's girlfriend. When Nicole and Brian Albert got back home, they testified that their nephew Colin was still there, but that he left within a few minutes. Colin claimed that he had been there for 90 minutes, dropped off earlier in the evening by Jennifer McCabe's daughter, Allie, so that he could wish his much older cousin, Brian Albert Jr., a happy birthday. Despite being a teenage meathead who loves to drink and party, Colin's story is that he left the house minutes after his fun uncle arrived to the party because he wanted to get home, kiss his parents goodnight, and go to bed. Right. Physical violence and toughness are things that are encouraged amongst male members of the Albert family. Brian Albert is a former Marine and trained boxer with 30 years of experience as a Boston police officer, serving on the fugitive unit where he was in charge of tracking down and arresting some of the most violent and dangerous criminals. He reportedly assaulted 2 other Boston police officers named Eddie Hernandez and Stephen Ridge and had a bad reputation amongst the rank and file in the BPD. Chris Albert is a thug who has political power in town. On June 23rd, 2024, he threatened to beat my face up and down the sidewalk outside CF McCarthy.
Up and down the sidewalk in 2 seconds.
You'll beat my face?
I wouldn't. I could.
You could, yeah. You seem really intimidated. Then watched gleefully as one of his employees and his crazed sister-in-law, Jill Daniels, assaulted me on camera.
Here she is.
You know what? I'm so.
Bam. That was so much fun to watch. That was better than anything that came on TV anywhere
It's
near.
actually one of the things I caught live of his.
Yes, I was just going to ask that. Did you catch it live?
I did. Yes.
I think I was at my sister's house. I was not home. I might have been at a party.
It was a Sunday evening, and I just remember it, like all of a sudden getting this TV live thing. I'm like, what?
It was
on my birthday, and I remember I had just started watching him. Not just. I think it was like a few weeks, and I was just getting kind of a feel for who Teebs was. And then I don't think I watched it. I watched it within the day, right? Like, because there were clips of it everywhere, and it was kind of in your feed, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, something, huh?
Yeah, for some reason it just like alerted everybody.
I watched it
Yeah,
live.
it was all over.
It was fucking good. I was like, oh my
really
God.
Chris knew he can get away with this
show.
because the McAlberts basically run the town of Canton. Chris is on the board of selectmen. His brother Kevin Albert's a detective sergeant. Brian Albert is a legend, and Tim Albert once owned a pool. As a member of the select board, Chris is in charge of hiring the police chief who works for him. Unsurprisingly, Chief Helena Rafferty and former Chief Ken Berkowitz both supported Chris Albert's campaign for selectmen and used their positions of authority to cast doubt on what was plainly a cover-up in the eyes of any rational person. Chief Berkowitz allowed Brian Higgins to have an office at the Canton Police Department and asked a reporter to take down a tweet on February 1st, 2022, because the tweet mentioned the fact that John O'Keefe's body was found on Brian Albert's front lawn, and Brian Albert was a, quote, pillar of the community who didn't deserve to have his reputation tarnished. In November of 2023, the people...
All right, since we watched that, I got to watch this real quick. Not going to take but a second.
What's up, ChatRats? Welcome to another installment of Rat House Media. I'm Danny Thomas, whatever that is.
You're a loser, guy.
Danny.
I'm sorry. All right, back to this. Back to the.
Canton held a special town meeting where they voted to audit the police department despite the select board and Chris Albert
Video's not up.
5-0 not to. Colin was the star of the Canton High School football team and the quintessential jock who thought football was cool, but Shakespeare was a loser. He was also neighbors with O'Keefe and had reportedly gotten into shouting matches with his much older neighbor after throwing beer cans on O'Keefe's lawn. Colin's parents jokingly referred to O'Keefe as Nevercracker in reference to a grumpy cartoon character who didn't like people on his lawn. Colin has a history of violence and has gotten into several fights that were memorialized on video. He had also issued disturbing threat to a group of teenage hockey players from Hingham known as the Advantage Boys.
Yo, you're Advantage Boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
Despite this, Colin claimed during the trial that he had never been in a fight before, something that was undeniable perjury. Like many others, Colin looked up to and admired his uncle Brian. Family photos of the Alberts almost always show the men either giving the middle finger to the camera or holding up their fists like boxers do. Commonwealth wants us to believe that as soon as his uncle Brian got back to the party, Colin just immediately decided it's time to leave. Colin, Chris, and Julie Albert have all known state police detective Michael Proctor for decades. And as luck would have it, Proctor ended up being assigned lead investigator for O'Keefe's murder. 7-year-old Colin was the ring bearer in Proctor's sister Courtney's wedding. There's pictures of Colin and his family all over Courtney's Facebook page. And Proctor's own mother referred to the Alberts as a, quote, second family. Yet Proctor did not recuse himself from the investigation or disclose this close relationship. In fact, he denied knowing that when he testified in front of the grand jury that indicted Reed. He said he didn't know him. Karen discovered by researching the Albert and Proctor families on social media this was a lie. Throughout the investigation, Proctor went out of his way to protect the McAlberts by treating them as witnesses instead of potential suspects and not interviewing.
All right. I'm going to swap over to this. A little bit of short attention span theater.
Yay.
This, unfortunately, Grant Smith Ellis's coverage because I'm not playing Melanie Little's. You know what I mean?
Did anybody watch this thing today with Howie?
I saw a bit of it, but I don't know.
It's not that long. I mean, there's like 3 segments, I think. But just fast forward through the commercials so I don't have to listen to Grant.
The powers that be that have that tried to frame her. That,
He's so entertaining.
So what is that? What you're back for?
Well, I can say this: I'm back for a reason. I didn't. It's not just a pleasure tour. So I'm back here for a reason. We've met with the legal team back here, dealing with the civil issue. There's obviously a lot to unpack where that's concerned. So we had and will continue to have significant meetings about that. What Karen's next options, what her options are in general, but what her next moves might be. And we're considering all options. And in terms of the civil case itself, I'm not going to disclose everything that we've discussed, but certainly nothing is off the table. I can put it that way.
State or federal?
Yes. I don't know. At this point, that's part of what we're deciding. That there's options that we have, both state and federal options, and we're exploring all those options. So we'll see. We'll see.
And I know that the O'Keefe case, the civil damages that the O'Keefe family is seeking against Karen and the bar. I mean, it doesn't seem like they got much of a case against her. The O'Keefe family is seeking against Karen and the bars. I mean, it doesn't seem like they got much of a case against her since she's been acquitted, and since the experts agree that that the car didn't hit John O'Keefe. Right. So she doesn't have much of a case, but you've got to still defend against that, and you're in Plymouth County.
Right. I'm not worried about the.
Look at Alan Jackson right there, looking slick as all shit. Look at it.
Yeah, he's looking good.
He looks so much better this time around than he did.
Do we not miss listening to something from him almost every day?
We're all so spoiled by good attorneys like him.
Jackson withdrawals.
The county where we're at, I'm Plymouth. It could be any place. I really don't care. I think you're right. I think you hit the nail right on the head. They're going to have. I'll put it this way. I think the civil action that's been filed against Karen, they're going to have a very, very, very significant uphill battle. Very obviously, the jury has spoken. It's not like there wasn't an enormous amount of scrutiny that was put on through all the evidence against her, and 2 times, not once, 2 times, jurors determined that there was no collision.
I don't think people think about that enough. But you mentioned it in the first interview, and I think it bears repeating. She was a victim of double jeopardy.
I thought that you paused.
Absolutely.
Do I?
Oh no, I thought that you were pausing just to, because I know you have to pause every so often So JFK and Kebby and James were with
Oh yeah, we're not. I
Blair
don't
tonight.
talk about them on here.
And they,
We
but
just-
what they were saying was they were kind of critical. They, not really critical, but they were like, well, John was not mentioned once. So I don't know because I haven't listened to this. So that's why I was asking if anyone had.
I don't know.
watched.
We'll see what Alan Jackson has to say about it. I ain't worried
Yeah.
about them dudes.
Absolutely.
No, that's
100%.
wrong.
And we made that pitch not only to Judge Cannoni, but
all the way up to the Supreme
SJC.
Court. Yeah.
And we believe that we were correct. I'll go to my grave believing that we were correct. I don't know why the appellate departments that heard this case didn't agree. I'm a little gobsmacked by that. I'll remain confused by that. But look, that just gave us that much more impetus, that much more motivation to go back a second time, given the fact that there was going to be a second trial, and make sure that she got acquitted the second time as well. But there's no question that that's not even open to dispute that the jurors came back with every charge and allegation that was associated with striking John O'Keefe. She was acquitted the first time, and she was acquitted the second time.
So how much, we've dealt with these cases of frame ups and people actually going to prison. You had the 4 guys that were framed by the FBI. They spent 35 years in prison. They got $102 million, I believe. You have Freddie Whitechell, who was framed in this county as a favor for Whitey Bulger to take him off the street. He won a $33 million judgment that was tossed out, most of it. Then he won $15 million from the town of Braintree. I'm just laying these out. How much do you think Karen can get?
The question is, how much is a life worth? How much is her reputation worth? How much is her professional reputation worth? Her professional reputation, she's lost all of that. She had to sell her house. She had to sell her car. She hasn't driven in 4 years.
All which she got on her own. She was rolling, son. She was set. She accomplished all the things. They fucking took it away from her. So yes,
And
they
set up John's nephew and niece.
Right. Yeah. She made sure that they were invested. So just to correct the record, I think it was JFK. I don't think it was Glara that was critical of them having not mentioned John. But I think JFK may have been the one that mentions that, you don't mention.
Well, they did ask if there was ever going to be justice for him. I mean, they talk about John in it.
Okay.
Just
all right. I don't know. I heard it kind of in passing. I was like cleaning up, and then I was like, oh, that's weird, right? But yeah, I didn't hear it myself. So that's why I was asking you guys if you had heard any of it.
No. Not really.
Her reputation has been dragged through the mud because of these allegations. And these are things that no citizen, no righteously should ever have to suffer. So how much is that worth? How much value, Howie, would you put on being in her shoes for 10 minutes, let alone 4 years? That's the question. And that's going to be a question for the jury. And then we're going to decide what we think is appropriate to ask for. But I don't think there's any amount of money. There's not an amount of money that I can think of that would reasonably compensate her.
She wasn't in prison per se, but I mean, it's kind of a prison that she's been in, isn't it?
Well, to your point, per se, no, she wasn't in prison per se. She was in jail twice. She was jailed twice, twice too many times. But she was in a prison of the making of the Massachusetts State Police, the Norfolk DA's office, Michael Morrissey and his henchmen. That was a prison in and of itself, and far worse and far too long than anything she should have ever had to suffer. She just simply didn't have anything to do with the death of John O'Keefe. And there's a lot of folks out there who know that.
So, you can sue, I believe, the state police, and correct, you can sue individuals, but can you sue the district attorney, Michael Morrissey?
That is a knottier legal question, not KNOTTY. That's a more difficult legal question. District attorneys, by and large, and here in Massachusetts, enjoy something called qualified immunity. So the question becomes whether or not there is a legal standard that we can overcome to actually prosecute a civil case against them. But generally, the answer is no. They enjoy an immunity, both Michael Morrissey himself, as well as his deputies or assistant DAs.
That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. It's a shame. It's a shame. I'd love the opportunity to have that discussion in open court, in a civil case, about what his conduct consisted of and what his deputies' conduct consisted of as well.
Now, are you going to get in a potential civil case, whether in state or federal court, are you going to get access to all of these emails and texts from the cloud that we're already reading about?
We'll see. We'll see. That's certainly something that we're focusing on heavily in the civil case. The information that we didn't get in the criminal case through requests and demands that we made to Justice Connelly, it opens up a whole new batch of possibilities for us to get some of that data in the civil case. So they brought the civil case, right? You don't get to, it's a sword and a shield, right? So you don't get to bring a civil case and then hide behind some sort of anonymity and trying to suppress the evidence that we need to properly defend against that civil case. And I can guarantee you that civil case will be righteously defended. And that means getting every single scrap of information that we're entitled to and that we did not get during the criminal case.
Yeah, I mean, you've already seen some of it. I mean, the fact that that crazy woman, the woman with the hat on her head, they as soon as they see what she's going to say, Morrissey emails back, hire this woman immediately! ! All capital letters.
Right. Those emails are revelatory. I haven't read all of them. We haven't seen all of them. It's yet to be seen how much of that we get, but there's quite a few revelations, I think, that are going to be had in those emails. Michael Morrissey was very, I'll put it this way, he was very involved in the decision-making that ended up putting Karen Reed in these very compromised positions, being prosecuted.
He's run for district attorney many times. He's raised $200 from one guy, a House counsel for a corrupt speaker who was convicted of a felony in 11 months. He's raised one contribution in 11 months. You think he's running for re-election?
I hope not. I hope not. For the sake of the community, for the sake of Massachusetts, for Christ's sake. I mean, no, I hope he's not. I don't know what's in Michael Morrissey.
Karen is smiling. I just have to point that out.
Yeah. I cannot imagine a circumstance in which he thinks, number one, that he could win, and number two, that he would actually be an effective leader for the community. That's the job, right? That is, at the end of the day, it's not about you feathering your nest, Mr. Morrissey, right? It's about really doing that which is the heart of community service. You're there to represent the community members. The community members don't want you. They just don't. And I think that's
we're not that into you anymore, Mike Morrissey.
It's one way to break up with them.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a break, and then Karen Reed will be back with us. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
No pocket square today, AJ.
Well,
Damn.
he just said Karen would be back with them, so I'm hoping I didn't miss the first segment when I gave you that timestamp, Danny.
No. Because here they are.
And there she is. She's a Karen, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, she's a Karen, ladies and gentlemen. She's a Karen. We have a Karen sighting.
But I think
you're
this
a
might be the
loser.
second time she came on. Like,
I love
super
it.
brave
It's
guy
like-
with them. I think she was on at the beginning, and then AJ went by himself, and then she came back.
Nope.
Okay.
Connor.
Nope. We're good.
Caddy, a question. She's 52 years old. You're 45. I mean, how do you feel about her, an older woman, playing you?
Well, this happened. This nightmare started when I was 42. So she'd be playing someone 10 years younger, which I'm not an ageist in any way, but I would like to see this if it were to come to life on a big screen or on a small screen. I'd love for supporters of mine and people who believe in the truth of this to know more than what Elizabeth Banks knows.
And it's really her story to tell. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is Karen Reed's story to tell. It's not Hollywood's story to make up and to fill in blanks that they want to fill in, to take a poetic license literary license, movie license. It really is Karen Reed's story to tell. And so it's a little bit of a shame that she was never even consulted, never even contacted. Like she said, we read about this.
It was totally new when you read it yesterday.
Yeah. I had heard through the grapevine that she was interested, but I would think she'd have reached out to us. She knows who our contacts are in California. Yeah, we're not hard to find.
So your next thing is the movie, or what's your next move?
I don't know from day to day what my next move is. I'd like a book out there. There's just a lot more to tell. A lot of what it took to fight this that was behind closed doors. I think people would be very interested in that.
The story does need to be told, but it needs to be told accurately. There's a lot of things.
Elizabeth Banks is playing her in the season of some show. The upcoming 2 seasons, I believe.
It's a podcast called Karen, and I don't remember who put it out initially, but it's not a bad podcast from what I've heard as far as the story it tells.
An
But
actual show, an actual I forget
yeah,
what.
I thought it was a series.
Elizabeth Banks is playing Karen Reed.
I know, but it's based off of the Karen podcast.
Oh, okay.
The one that she's doing. It's not the one that they signed the rights over.
Banks, period.
Hey, little
Yeah.
miss.
I mean,
But
Hi,
they're
little
not happy
miss.
about it.
Is that the Prime Video one? Connor just mentioned that, and I had heard that. I don't remember where.
on prom, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Teebs had mentioned that.
All I was saying is they had me.
that were uncovered during the course of this trial and this odyssey, and it needs to be told accurately.
I want to ask you about that when we come back,
Sure.
but I wanted to show. I found a bag in the trash. I am from North. And then try to do it again.
I don't think so. Like you said, there's been a lot of speculation on the internet about that. I don't think so. I think that's just happenstance. She's literally in a different courthouse, happens to be in the same county. Judge O'Shea has been assigned to the case for all purposes. Judge O'Shea is the RAJ, the regional administrative justice over that region. So I would imagine that Judge O'Shea, when he took the case and took it for all purposes, that's exactly what that means. And I think we are going to be in Judge O'Shea's court.
So Beverly Connelly is in Brockton.
She's in Brockton, city of Brockton,
and he in your case is
City
going
of
to be
Plymouth.
in the town of Plymouth.
Town of Plymouth.
So there's no probably never the twain shall meet.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. Nobody on our team is concerned about it. We don't think that's going to happen.
So you've got a whole civil team that's going to be working here
We do.
now.
Exceptionally talented folks at the firm, Damon Seligson and Charlie Waters, Chaz Waters, Aaron, the whole team. They're dedicated to this case. They have dug in. They've rolled their sleeves up. I've been thoroughly impressed. They know the case better than I would have ever expected folks to know the case that weren't on it for the last 3 or 4 years. They know the granular details, and I couldn't be happier. Karen's in very, very, very good hands.
Since the trial ended, you wrote a scathing letter. It was really well written to the police commissioner of the city of Boston, Michael Cox.
Right.
And you told him that you thought that his officer, Kelly Dever, should be added to the Brady list. Why don't you tell us about that? And if you've gotten any, well, go ahead. Tell us what.
First of all, can we clear this up?
Jason Smith, what's up, buddy?
Hey,
Appreciate
Jason.
you hanging out. Appreciate you coming back.
So that folks don't think I'm a complete idiot. So a single consonant following a vowel is a hard vowel. D-E-V-E-R is pronounced Dever. D-E-V-V-E-R would be Dever. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. When she corrected me and basically knocked me back on my heels for mispronouncing her name, I did learn English. So the rules of English.
It's your third language.
It's not my third language. No. And I do know what the word theory actually means as well, as does Sergeant Buchanan. In any event, Kelly Dever, as she likes to pronounce it, I thought I needed to write that letter for the protection of the public and the protection of other defendants. She should be on the Brady list for the reasons that I put in the letter.
Which is an unreliable witness.
She's an unreliable witness. She admitted one of two things is true: either she lied or she has a faulty memory, and she has a really hard time with recollecting facts. She has false memories. It's not just a faulty memory. All of us have a faulty memory. She is subject to, as she put it, false memories. How could she reasonably be a police officer going forward with false memories? I mean, she'd be expected to be a professional witness, an eyewitness to everything that she does, every arrest that she makes, every piece of evidence that she finds, every piece of evidence that she proffers or presents.
When do you believe she was telling the truth? When she spoke to the FBI and said she saw Higgins and Berkowitz for a wildly long time, or when
100%.
That's
100%. That's exactly what the truth was. There's no way to have a false memory that's concocted to that level of detail. And all I wanted, it's not, I don't know how I became her enemy. She's a police officer. I'm simply a party in a lawsuit that was brought by Michael Morrissey and his folks, a criminal lawsuit. And all I asked her to do was get on the stand and tell the truth. And it turned into an absolute disaster for her, not for me, for her. None of the jurors believed her. They all thought that she was completely lying. And one has to, when one's left to speculate as to why she lied. When you couple that.
Why would you speculate?
All right, Diane G wins the chat. Diane G, you win the chat. You're the winner.
Perfect, Justin.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
That is fucking.
Yeah, I was just responding to her. Oh wait, no, that wasn't the comment I was doing. She said that the bodyguard from I, Tonya would be the perfect Higgins.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to remember that guy's name.
That is so good. Diane G, winner.
Well, when you couple that with the fact that she was called up to...
you deserve a YouTube plaque with that comment on it from YouTube.
To the commissioner's office.
Commissioner Cox's office. Why is a rookie cop with 8 months on the job at the time at Boston Police Department called up to the commissioner's office? She probably should not have even met the commissioner for the next 5, 6, 8 years of her career. There was no reason for that to happen. Then when she starts playing loose and fast and loose with the facts about that meeting, then you couple that with Commissioner Cox acting like he's never even heard her name. I think he said, "I've never said the words Karen Reed. Those words have never been in a sentence." How could that possibly be? At the end of the day, John O'Keefe was one of his officers. This is one of the highest profile cases where he lost an officer on the lawn of who? Another one of his officers. And the person accused and blamed for that happens to be named Karen Reed. And his answer is, "I've never said those words. I don't know who Karen Reed is. I've never said a sentence with the name Karen Reed in it." And then you have Kelly Dever, who happens to get a subpoena from the defense. And before she's able to testify, she ends up in his office. None of that passes the smell test. None of it.
And then he said at the end of his interview, Commissioner Cox, he said, that case is closed. I didn't know that case was closed.
It's far from closed. Far from closed in my mind.
There's no one has been convicted of killing a Boston police officer.
John O'Keefe's killer or killers have yet to be brought to justice.
Will they ever be?
I fear that given
this right here, this is talking about John O'Keefe right here. Listen.
Shortly with Alan Jackson. Let me just say that was wild.
Back with Alan Jackson here, and we're so happy you're here.
Office to call him. They called him first in the first trial, and I had an opportunity to cross-examine him. But if we,
it was over. But I missed
what
it.
this is about, John? This part?
No, that end statement. I meant to go back like 3 seconds. I went back like 3.
Howie just asked about John getting justice.
Yeah, he said, "Will he ever get justice?" But back to Turtle Boy, who gave Karen Reed some justice.
You missed or unless you're going to go back, he advertised.
And what was his response to that?
He said, unfortunately, he doesn't think so based off of what he's seen out of Canton, Boston, and MSP police departments.
Oh, I think this is the end of it. I'm sorry.
There's not that much more left.
Ladies
they bring
and
the book out.
I have the glow of two people who saw some kind of excellent.
Here's the sexual tension between Karen and AJ that the aunties had to go on.
I know, but Grant kills me. He's a good streamer though. With the voice.
And they also went at Chloe. They have
No.
Standing up for Chloe. Chloe's
dude's
honor.
streams like
Grant.
6 hours. He streams longer than I do. It's ridiculous.
They had a place that they could go to get the correct information because misinformation was running afoot.
Let me just ask you about that Channel 4 story. They Channel 4 reported, I think the day after, that the cops had ring camera video.
Right.
A total lie, and they never retracted it.
Yeah.
For 2 years. What do you think, Karen?
What I think is that is what they actually told.
Correct.
I don't think the error was on Channel 4's behalf. It was what they were told at the scene.
Yeah,
and I think I think it existed. We made a motion in court for Brian Albert's ring camera. We believe he had some brand of surveillance at his house, and we know there was one across the street. So yeah, I think it actually existed. It ceases to exist probably now, but
they said it showed you hitting
right.
John O'Keefe.
Right. They had me buried.
Which
was
the abject lie.
Pin it on the girl.
Pin it on the girl, right? And anybody that said that knew it was a lie, knew it was completely unprovable because it didn't happen. As we established unequivocally through 2 trials, there was no collision.
Alan, when will I see you in court?
All right. That's it for that. Back to this.
From the Alberts on the day that Reed was arrested, shortly after Brian and Nicole arrived.
Wait, I have a question.
Jennifer and Matt McCabe pulled into the
Go.
Does he say when the civil case starts?
He makes a comment that he's going to be back in court on September 22nd. And then Howie says something like, but that's another case or a different case. And they just laugh. So I don't know if that's something he has going on with his California firm, like in California or in Massachusetts. Because TV's hearing is the 24th of September.
I'm wondering, are they going to televise the civil case?
No.
I don't think so.
I
I honestly feel like they will.
I want
Usually up
them
to the
to,
plaintiff in civil cases, and I feel like they will.
because it's right in Plymouth, which is only like 20 minutes from me. So if I know the dates, I can go.
You got the civil case, and then you have the civil rights federal
do a
case that they're
ChatRats
talking
civil
about
case.
filing.
ChatRats civil case meetup.
Yeah.
Everybody meet at Connor's house.
Let's fucking
Hell
go.
yeah.
Highway in Park.
right.
At 12:14, John O'Keefe had just left the waterfall bar
I
with
mean,
Karen
not like
Reed.
it's a
and texted
happy
John O'Keefe
thing, but you
beer
know,
too. At
that's been our
12:18, he called her,
pattern.
asking her to clarify directions. Unfamiliar with the town that she didn't live in, Karen went slightly out of the way to get there, coming from the east on Cedar Crest Road. She missed the left-hand turn onto Fairview Road, did a U-turn in the driveway, and then she went back to Fairview Road. When she did so, a truck was coming from the opposite direction and was trying to turn left on Fairview Road. Inside that truck was Ricky D'Antano, Heather Maxon, and her boyfriend Ryan Nagel, whose sister Julie Nagel was a friend of Brian Albert Jr. and
Joe Biffle, you give yourself away, man.
called him looking for a ride home. D'Antano allowed Reed to turn onto 34 Fairview and drop John off in the driveway, where she claims that she saw him run quickly to the side door. D'Antano, Maxon, and Nagel pulled in seconds afterwards and testified that they did not see John O'Keefe run into the house, which would make sense because the other cars in the driveway would have obstructed their view from seeing him. Karen had no intention of going inside because she didn't know anyone there. And throughout the whole scene, she just thought it was sketchy because the house was dark and Higgins had just yelled at O'Keefe before leaving the bar. But John was drunk and wanted to go, so she agreed to drop him off. The plan was for him to call or text her that he was inside to let her know everything was fine and she'd go back to his house 3 miles away at One Meadows Ave, where his 14-year-old niece was home alone. But John never called or texted Karen Reed again. As she waited outside, she became frustrated with John for not calling her and assumed that he had once again gotten drunk and left her to take care of his kids. After 10 minutes, she left and drove back to John's house, leaving all sorts of angry voicemails and text messages accusing him of cheating on her. This is the exact opposite thing that you would do if you just murdered someone. Scott Peterson and countless other killers have left voicemails for their victims, pretending to be worried about them.
Hey, beautiful. I just left a message at home. 2:15, Arlene birthday. I won't be able to get to Villa Farms to get that basket for Papa. I was hoping you would get this message and go on out there. I'll see you in a bit. We love you. Bye.
Reed's messages indicated that she thought John was alive, possibly with another woman, and had left her alone to watch his children. Who wouldn't be pissed? According to Trooper Nicholas Garino, Karen Reed logged into John's Wi-Fi at 12:36 a.m. The 2.3-mile trip from Fairview Road to One Meadows Ave, which included going through a traffic light in the center of town, would have taken at least 6 minutes in ideal conditions. In the snow, it would take much longer. That means Karen had to leave Fairview Road no later than 12:30 a.m. This presents a huge problem for the Commonwealth. Ricky D'Antano, Heather Maxson, and Ryan Nagel all testified that Julie Nagel came out and said that she was going to stay there instead. They all left while Karen Reed was still parked outside and drove by her Lexus. All three of them testified that they saw Karen Reed alone in her car with the interior lights on, in her hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. None of them saw John O'Keefe inside the car with Karen Reed. None of them saw O'Keefe on the ground outside the car or standing outside the car. This means there could only be one place.
Yeah. Theories and go. Why could they not see John go into the house? I
The
had
vehicles in the driveway blocked it.
all right, 10 seconds each. Go. Theory. Mary B, you're first. Where was John?
I think
when
he was already in the house.
That would be pretty quick. They didn't see him. They're coming up the road. But
Yeah,
y'all
he
drove
was
there.
there.
So I don't know
Don't
how
fight somebody.
far away from the house down the street would you be able to see him, since y'all all got to go there and drive the route.
The way Ricky pulled up, probably not. And like, if it was it snowing at that point, I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was light.
Yeah, it was light snow, but I think she dropped him at the driveway and then immediately pulled up when she saw the lights approaching behind her, and they didn't see him because of the vehicles in the driveway.
Okay, so you remember in the waterfall video? Now that may have been sped up, but you know how John made a beeline to Higgy? He was a Sag. They moved quick. He bolted into that house. Bolted. Nobody saw him.
But he wasn't
Got out of the
cold. He
car
didn't.
and
He
bolted.
loved the cold.
What?
I said he loved the cold now. That's why he only had that long sleeve shirt on.
Yeah, but he was running because he was ready to fight.
He was, yeah, he was in it. He was revved for sure. Because remember, Higgy said, "You coming?"
There weren't
He
any
yelled
te-
at him in the
weren't any
bar,
tells
and then he
between
said, "You coming?"
And the
So,
heel toe.
that's it.
Yeah, he was amped, dude.
Amped. Yep.
That
And
O'Keefe
he
was
was a Sag.
inside Brian Albert's.
And what?
What?
He's a
And he was a
Sag.
Sag. Yes. He was a Sag indeed.
It's us. The forensic evidence backs this up. John's Apple Health data shows that he ascended and descended 3 flights of stairs between 12:22 and 12:24 a.m. Karen's Apple Health data does not show her going up.
Man, I'm gonna tell you a story. I had to do the floors in this college, and it was 2 levels. And coming off of the earth, there's like 12 steps, and then you have to go up 28 steps to get to the second floor. And I had to carry 2,000 feet of heart pine from the street down the sidewalk up the steps, and I put my phone in my pocket so it would track all of the steps. This is bullshit. If your phone says you went up steps, you more than likely went up steps and down steps. It knows which one you're doing, up or down.
Any flight of stairs during that time. This means that
It knows when you're driving 35 miles an hour. You can't be walking up steps and driving 30.
Reed and O'Keefe could not be in the same place at that time. Brian Albert has 2 flights of stairs in his house. Karen Reed's Lexus doesn't have a basement. Don't worry though, the Commonwealth has an explanation for that. You see, John's GPS, which has a 3-minute standard deviation from the actual time, shows that he wasn't there yet at 12:22. According to Detective Garino, the Norfolk DA's forensic expert, John was on Oakdale Road and was probably moving the phone up and down in the car.
The movement of the phone, the distance traveled, it's going to register steps. You don't have to physically be walking and moving the phone for it to register movements. Just waving around and then could potentially cause it to think you're walking and moving.
Which somehow tricked Apple into believing that he had just climbed a couple flights of stairs. Garino testified that it was a very hilly street, so I tried driving down Oakdale Road to see if I could get my Apple Health data to say I climbed stairs. This is what I found.
Look how flat this street is. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Watch out for the hill, kid.
The flattest street in Canton. Unsurprisingly, my Apple Health data did not show that I had climbed any flights of stairs. D'Antano, Maxson, and Ryan Nagel all testified that there were no cars in between them and Reed's Lexus. This presented a problem for the Commonwealth, so they had to try to find a way to discredit them. The solution to this was for Matt McCabe, Jen McCabe, and Brian Higgins to make up a lie that Higgins had parked his white Jeep next to Brian Albert's mailbox, which would have been in between the Lexus and D'Antano's truck.
And after the end of the driveway, there was a Jeep, and after the Jeep was the SUV, the dark SUV.
You did not see, for instance, a Jeep with a snowplow on the front parked in between you.
I did not.
In fact, you indicated that that Jeep was just a little bit in front of the mailbox, meaning about there, correct?
Yes.
You certainly did not see a full-sized Jeep Wrangler outfitted with a snowplow between the SUV and Ricky's truck.
I did not.
I want to ask a question about Mr. Higgins. You said on Friday that you saw his vehicle when you got to the scene, correct?
Yes.
You said that it was pulled up a little bit in front of the mailbox, correct?
Yes.
Did any car pull in between Ricky's truck and the SUV when you were sitting behind the SUV?
No, sir.
You didn't see a Jeep?
No, sir.
With a big old snowplow on the front of it?
No, sir, I did not.
That car was never between your car and the SUV, was it?
I never saw any other vehicle in between us. And then after the end of the driveway, there was a Jeep. And after the Jeep was the SUV, the dark SUV.
Timeline of Karen getting back to One Meadows Ave at 12:36 was also problematic because Jen McCabe testified that she looked out the window 3 times and Karen was still there at 12:45. The Commonwealth claims that Karen struck John with her car at 12:32, meaning she couldn't get back to O'Keefe's house by 12:36, and she definitely wouldn't still be at Brian Albert's house at 12:45. In order to make it look like she was worried about where John was, Jennifer McCabe called his phone 6 times between 12:40 and 12:50. She later testified that they were actually butt dials, none of which resulted in the voicemail being left on John's phone because she would hang up and then I guess butt dial again. Then there's the Canton Library video, which perfectly captures the intersection in the middle of town that Karen would have driven through on her way back to John's house. If she had just hit John with her car, then her taillight would be visibly broken on that surveillance video and they could nail her. The IT director, Louis Jutras, gave state police a share file with all the footage from that night, which Proctor then burned onto a CD. When he did that, the footage from the 2-minute window where Reed drove by was mysteriously missing. You got that? It recorded everything except for when the woman with the allegedly broken taillight drove by. How convenient. But the library wasn't the only place that surveillance videos that could have shown the condition of Reed's taillight as she drove back to John's house. There's hundreds of homes along the way, many of which have Ring cameras. Did police ask any of these homeowners to look at them? I randomly stopped and asked a homeowner who told me no one ever asked him for his.
What is it you need to know now? So I was just wondering, did the state police ever come by here and ask for Ring camera footage from the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Nope.
No, they haven't. They haven't.
Normally, police canvass all over town asking for Ring and other surveillance videos, but the murder of a Boston cop wasn't worthy of that sort of effort, apparently. They knew Reed's taillight wasn't broken at 12:35, and they knew that asking to look at videos would exonerate her. Inside the house, when Karen Reed left, were Matt McCabe, Jen McCabe, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert Jr., Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, Brian Higgins, and Albert Jr.'s friend, Sarah Levinson. But for some reason, people didn't question Nagel or Levinson until 9 months after O'Keefe's death, and Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert Jr., and several others until 18 months later, despite the fact that they all would have likely heard or seen a murder less than 50 feet from where they were standing. Proctor had no interest in speaking with any of these people. Not a single person inside the house reported hearing a man who was invited over the house being hit by a car outside. Matt and Jen McCabe testified that they were looking out the window frequently. Matt McCabe even said that he saw V-shaped tire tracks in the snow. Remarkably, neither of them noticed John O'Keefe's body on the front lawn. John was 6'2", 220 and was found just 10 feet from the curb, yet not a single person saw his body as they drove directly past where the Commonwealth claims O'Keefe's body was, which would have been illuminated by the bright white snow. They all had their own excuses for that, including peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Then there's Tristan Morris and Caitlin Albert. Tristan was at the waterfall with his girlfriend Caitlin, but left early to go back to their apartment in East End and sleep for a couple hours before waking up to plow. Caitlin planned on staying the night at her parents' house at 34 Fairview Road. But for some unexplained reason, Tristan was woken up in the middle of the night by Caitlin, who told him to come and pick her up. What happened to change her plans? Perhaps a Boston police officer was beaten to death inside the home that she was supposed to sleep in that night. In Michael Lang's police report, it says that he spoke with Brian and Nicole Albert, who told him that Caitlin Albert left at 12:15 with Tristan. Conveniently, this would have gotten her out of the house before John and Karen arrived, and thus police would have no reason to question her. But after Caitlin and her parents received a summons from the FBI to testify at the federal grand jury, the Alberts were advised by their attorney, Greg Henning, not to lie about when they left because the feds already knew the answer to that. Caitlin admitted that Tristan did not pick her up until 1:45. And when Brian Albert was asked about the 12:15 time in Lank's report, Albert blamed Lank for writing down the wrong time. If police knew that Tristan had picked up Caitlin at 1:45, it would make Tristan a witness since he would have driven right past where John O'Keefe was allegedly dying of hypothermia. At trial, Tristan claimed that he never saw a body on the lawn because he was distracted, just like everyone else who left the house that night. The more people involved in a conspiracy, the harder it is for everyone to keep their story straight. This is why Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe went out of their way to say that their kids had all left before John and Karen arrived. Less people to interview means less people to tell a different version of events of the story. After Jennifer McCabe got home from dropping off Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, her Apple Health data shows that she went upstairs and was pacing around all morning. Her heart rate shows that she never went to sleep. Something was on her mind. Then, at 2:27 and 40 seconds, she Googled the most incriminating thing she could possibly have Googled. How long to die in cold? Except she spelled it "hoss long to die in cold." Why would she Google this if she thought John O'Keefe had decided to go home with Karen Reed and never went inside Brian Albert's house? She had to have known that the plan was to put O'Keefe's body out on the lawn to make it look like he had died from hypothermia after being struck by a car. McCabe must have realized it was a huge mistake to Google this because the Cellbrite extraction report of her phone shows that she deleted the search along with 18 phone calls made that morning. In order to cover her tracks, she planned to Google the same thing the same exact way after O'Keefe's body was found because it would be more explainable after finding out he was lying in the snow. She ended up doing this at 6:24 but claims Karen Reed was the one who told her to do this while John O'Keefe was being wheeled into the ambulance. However, according to Sergeant Good's testimony, Karen Reed was alone in a car at 6:24 and dash camera footage confirms this. Jennifer McCabe was trying to cover her tracks. The answer to Jen's question is 1 to 2 hours. That's all it would take for a person to die from hypothermia in an 18-degree snowstorm. If Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe with her car at 12:32, then he should have been dead when his body was discovered at 6 a.m. But he wasn't, so he couldn't have been out there for very long. Jennifer McCabe handed her phone over to police just days after O'Keefe's death, and the contents were all extracted by Detective Garino. Nowhere in Garino's report did it mention anything about a deleted Google search for hoss long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. In fact, it didn't show the 624 search for the same thing either. And as it turned out, Guarino has a history of manipulating Cellbrite data extraction reports. In February of 2021, they
No.
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 Did anybody see? Wait, did anybody see Joe Biffle's comments that Andy Dick should play Grant?
Oh my God.
Agreed. That is Catherine right now.
Thank you, Joe Biffle. I had a good laugh.
That was a good one.
State police, many of whom were involved in the Reed investigation, immediately determined was a suicide by hanging with a belt. Birchmore was last visited in her apartment by 6'4" Stoughton police detective Matthew Farwell, who had impregnated her and wasn't happy about it due to the fact that he was married with 2 kids and was about to have a third. Farwell met Birchmore when he was working in the Stoughton High School Explorers program. She was just 15 years old when he started having sex with her, and 23 when she died. But Farwell was never treated as a real suspect, just as the people inside Brian Albert's house were never treated as suspects. He handed over his phone to Guarino, who said that he couldn't retrieve 32,709 text messages between Birchmore and Farwell, much like he couldn't find
32,000
Wow.
messages. That, how do you not find that?
That's Guarino, right? He didn't catch that?
Yeah. How do you not find that? Oh, it's just a mistake. Could you
Right.
imagine the grave concerns if Alan Jackson would have showed up and been like, Bev, we found 32,000 text messages from Karen to Higgy or something that we didn't. We forgot about them. She would have
32,000. Jesus Christ.
I've got great.
Jennifer McCabe's Google searches because they were deleted too. But Cellbrite extracts deleted messages and Google searches as well. Luckily, the FBI ended up looking into the case and found all the deleted messages showing that Farwell was into violent rape fantasies. In August of 2024, he was arrested by the FBI for murder. If it was up to Guarino, the Canton Police, and Lieutenant John Fanning, another one of Proctor's bosses who was in charge of the Birchmore investigation, Farwell would still be walking the streets today. The Google search was not discovered until April of 2023 when Reed's forensic expert Richard Green found it. This is what ultimately caught my attention and led to widespread publicity that the case wasn't getting before. Like many, I assumed the DA's office was run by ethical people who wouldn't knowingly prosecute an innocent woman, especially when there was evidence that someone inside the house was responsible for John's murder. But I underestimated just how corrupt they were and just how determined they were to get Karen Reed. 2 days after my first article reached millions of people and outrage was spreading over the case, the DA's office announced they weren't dropping the charges and would be disputing the 227 Google search, which they claimed never happened. But how could they know this on April 20th, 2023 if they hadn't hired their own expert yet?
Any comment on that? Why you Googled that 227? Any comment, Mr. McCabe? Any comment? How can you show your face in court? Aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you ashamed? What are you hiding? What did you do? Why did you delete all those phone calls, Mr. McCabe? Why did you delete all those phone calls? Why did you delete your Google search?
The Google search was not discovered until April of 2023 when Reed's forensic expert Richard Green found it. This is what ultimately caught my attention and led to widespread publicity that the case wasn't getting before. Like many, I assumed the DA's office was run by ethical people who wouldn't knowingly prosecute an innocent woman, especially when there was evidence that someone inside the house was responsible for John's murder. But I underestimated just how corrupt they were and just how determined they were to get Karen Reed. 2 days after my first article reached millions of people and outrage was spreading over the case, the DA's office announced they weren't dropping the charges and would be disputing the 227 Google search, which they claimed never happened. But how could they know this on April 20th, 2023 if they hadn't hired their own expert yet? Over the next 6 months, they went searching for experts who would tell them what they wanted to hear. Jennifer McCabe might not have Googled Hoss Long to Dying Cold at 2:27 a.m. 2 months later, they found Jessica Hyde, whose report left open the possibility that the search may have happened at 2:27. Unsatisfied, they somehow came across a former Calgary, Alberta police officer named Ian Whiffen, who worked for Cellbrite and was promoting his new app called ArtX. Whiffen greenlights updates to Cellbrite software and was able to make sure that the 227 Google search did not come up on the updated version. He spent much of his testimony promoting his own app, which Cellbrite did not endorse. Somehow, the Commonwealth knew on April 20th that 7 months later, they would have an expert from Canada who would reach this conclusion. Karen Reed was furious with her boyfriend for ignoring her calls and texts and leaving her alone to watch John's niece. She fell asleep sometime around 1:30 and woke up at 4:30. This time, her emotions changed from angry to worried. John would never not come home to his niece and nephew, and he would never ignore that many phone calls from Reed. He was drunk, the weather conditions were dangerous, and she began to become extremely worried that something horrible happened. She woke up John's niece and used her phone to call Jennifer McCabe at 4:53 a.m., who was awake and had never gone to sleep all night for some reason. By that point, John's body hadn't been on the lawn for very long, if he was even there at all. Jen needed to delay Karen from going to 34 Fairview Road. She told Karen that John
Why didn't they get some of Jen's like phone data from the previous 3 months and see if it was a routine for her to stay up late like that, or if that was just an oddball out? They could have told that pretty easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
ever
they
came
don't
inside that
use
house.
it for
Back at a month. I mean, like, look, you went to sleep at 9:30 every night except for like this Thursday, and
but they'll check Bill Reed's.
Right.
That's important.
yeah, they will.
Well, they
volunteered to
did
go out
see
looking
that
for
was
him
the
with Karen.
only,
He invited Karen to come to her house.
right? So that was an unusual, that was an exception, right? She hadn't deleted anything. And then the calls, they found anomalies in that.
She's wearing an Apple Watch. It could have been like, "Dear Apple Watch, what time does this bitch go to bed every night?" Watch would have been like, "This bitch is usually in the bed by 10:30."
That's true. No, you're right. That's a great point.
Fucking Googling shit. No, it's odd.
They didn't dig that. I don't think that they just didn't dig that hard with Jen, but they should have done that.
They didn't want to find out anything.
They didn't want to find out.
They already had
in the driveway as she went out looking for him at 5:07 a.m., cracking her rear taillights in the process. Karen went towards the waterfall bar first, then drove back towards Jen McCabe's house. Her car is seen a mile and a half from McCabe's house at 5:18 a.m. But since she didn't know Canton very well and had no idea how to get to McCabe's house, she pulled over in the Canton cemetery, and her phone records show that she called her parents and Googled McCabe's address. She ended up getting there at 5:35 and picked up Jen, who convinced her to go back to One Meadows Ave to search the house for John, as if he would jump out of the closet and yell peekaboo. This was all part of Jen's plan to delay Karen from returning to 34 Fairview Road. Jen and Karen were met at John's house by his friend Kerry Roberts, and after searching the house without taking their shoes off, something the Commonwealth would later claim was evidence that she murdered John, the three of them jumped into Kerry's car and headed towards Fairview Road. When they arrived there, Karen immediately saw John's body on the lawn where she had been idling her car, waiting for him to call her back and say everything was okay inside. She jumped out of the car, rushed over to John, who was lying with the cell phone underneath his body, and began to perform CPR. Meanwhile, Jennifer McCabe called 911 and told them,
34 Fairview Road, get back. There's a man passed out in the snow.
So this is Jennifer McCabe. She says she's at 34 Fairview Road. And by the way, on the official police report, it actually says 32 Fairview Road. She says 34 Fairview Road at least 3 times in this tape, and they still put 32 Fairview Road. They also don't put Brian Albert Sr.'s name on it. They just put B. Albert. He's the only one not listed out. But listen to what she says there. There's a man passed out in the snow. Now, keep in mind, who is man? No, she knows who this man is because Karen Reed has gotten out of the car already and said, "There's John." And they're literally looking for John, and they get out of the car when they see him. So she knows who it is. She said, "There's a man passed out in the snow." Now, keep in mind, this is a quote unquote man who she was just with 6 hours prior. She was just with him 6 hours prior, at the very least. According to her own story, they were together at the waterfall bar. And she invited him back to that house. She says Kerry 7 times. And I think she says Jen here.
I know, I'm on the phone with Andrew. I know.
I know that sound. I know that. Listen to the fear in her voice. When Karen jumped out of the car, she was calling O'Keefe and left her phone in Kerry's car. A 4-minute voicemail was left on O'Keefe's machine that picked up McCabe's 911 call, which was immediately followed by McCabe whispering what sounded like, "No one's coming out to help." Jennifer McCabe phone records show that she called her sister Nicole Albert inside the house at 6:07 and 6:08 and spoke to her for durations of 7 to 9 seconds. Not enough time to have a conversation, but enough time to say, "Stay inside. No one's coming out to help." The first call happened at the exact time that you can hear Jennifer whispering, "No one's coming out to help." Nicole Albert was awake, and Jen McCabe was telling her to stay inside the house. For some reason, Jennifer McCabe deleted those 2 answered phone calls to her sister. Well, she and Nicole claimed that the 2 answered phone calls were never answered and that she never deleted them, even though Jen's phone records show that she did. Disputing forensic data is a common theme with the McAlberts and the Commonwealth. Officer Saraf was the first cop who arrived on the scene. His report says nothing about a car accident or Karen Reed uttering incriminating statements. Yet at the grand jury several months later, his story evolved, and he claimed that Reed said, "This is all my fault." Although the Canton police were the first to respond to the scene, they were ultimately conflicted off of the case because O'Keefe's body was discovered on Brian Albert's front lawn, and Brian Albert's brother, Kevin, is a detective in the Canton Police Department. Kevin Albert is drinking buddies with Proctor, who was later reprimanded when text messages revealed that the 2 of them had done some day drinking while investigating a cold case on Cape Cod, and Kevin Albert woke up hungover and realized that he left his gun and badge in Proctor's work vehicle. Oops. Paramedics arrived shortly after Officer Saraf, which included a woman named Katie McLaughlin, a close personal friend of Caitlin Albert. They graduated high school together, did cross country, and are photographed together in countless social situations up until a few months before O'Keefe's death, including trips to the beach, hot tubs, and a baby shower. Despite this, both she and Caitlin lied at the trial and said that they were just acquaintances who went to high school together. McLaughlin was one of nearly a dozen paramedics who responded to the scene, yet she was the only one police spoke with prior to Reed's arrest. On January 30th, Kevin Albert told Proctor,
Fishy. Why would they lie like that? They didn't think people knew who they were. Like, we knew you've been friends since junior high, you dumbass. Came into court and lied about it, but nobody cared but us.
that he wanted Proctor to interview McLaughlin and offered up Canton Police Department headquarters to do so, despite the
the 507 call that Betterow found this time around, it was from Jen to Coco. Was that answered, that call?
One of them was
in the
'cause he
chat.
called back.
What's that?
I thought one of them was because he called back.
Because who called back?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about something different than you were. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Jen, so Betero found a call at 5:07 when Jen was already, I think she was with Carrie, or she was on her way to get Carrie. I don't think that they had, just 32 seconds. Thank you, clerk. But was it answered? I don't even remember I remember that was found in this trial. But does anybody know if that was answered by Coco?
I think
Because
that if
that was
it
like,
was,
I think it
if
was.
Angie's gonna win.
32 seconds, she would have had to have answered.
They had to have answered,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
32 seconds is like long, even for like a voicemail.
Right.
Yeah.
So she knew, right? So it's like, if
Mhm.
she knew, then why didn't they come out?
Right.
She knew what was going on.
I think she told her to unlock the door, don't turn on any of the lights so no one sees you.
Right.
It's not that hard to do that. I mean, it's really not that hard. But,
Right.
man, it's got to make you feel bad. At some point, you got to have some kind of human emotion about it and be like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Well, not in that moment. That was like,
Yeah, more now, because you're never going to get a fucking conviction for anybody, against anybody, for John O'Keefe. Because they wasted
Never.
so much fucking time and blew so much evidence
Yeah.
away with the fucking leak.
Fact, the CPD was supposed to be conflicted off the case specifically because of Kevin Albert. McLaughlin told Proctor that she heard Reed say, "Hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." The scene. Well, Reed was standing next to Jennifer McCabe, Officer Saraf, and McLaughlin. Well, Keefe was already in the ambulance. That was her story. There's just a couple problems with that though. Officer Saraf, 4 other cops, and 5 other first responders testified that Karen Reed never said, "I hit him." And police dash cam footage shows that when these 4 were standing together, John wasn't in the ambulance yet. Karen was arrested 2 days after McLaughlin told Proctor she said, "I hit him." And according to firefighters Anthony Flamati and Timothy Nuttall, they talked about her case every day at the firehouse. Yet no other firefighters besides McLaughlin were ever questioned by Proctor until February 8th. By that time, the "I hit him" lie was all over the news and was the talk of the firehouse. And thus, Nuttall and Flamati both told Proctor that she said it. However, on cross-examination, it was revealed that neither of them was anywhere near Karen when McLaughlin claims that Karen uttered those words. Despite the fact that there was a hysterical woman screaming on their front lawn, bright, flashing fire and police lights illuminating the area, and an aggressive German Shepherd that barked a lot and easily spooked inside the house, and phone data showing Nicole Albert spoke to Jennifer McCabe at 6:07, Brian and Nicole Albert claimed that they slept through the whole thing. Brian Albert, a trained first responder, did not come out of the house while a fellow Boston police officer was lying dead on his front lawn. The bedroom window was the closest to where O'Keefe's body was found, and they testified that Chloe was in the room with them. But Chloe, Brian, and Nicole did not wake up. However, their neighbors in what Matt McCabe would later call the Asian house did wake up and take these pictures showing how impossible it would be to sleep through it. Canton Police Sergeants Sean Good and Michael Lank and Lieutenant Paul Gallagher arrived after Seraph, all of whom spent their entire lives in Canton. Good graduated and was friends with Courtney Proctor and Julie Albert's sister Jillian Daniels. Lank was good friends with Chris Albert since high school, and 20 years prior, he was involved in a drunken bar fight in which he came to the rescue of Chris and assaulted and arrested 2 brothers who Chris had started trouble with. None of these 3 cops had any sort of curiosity or suspicion about how a dead cop ended up on Brian Albert's front lawn. John didn't seem dressed for the weather and was missing a shoe. If you or I invited a cop to our house and he ended up being found dead on our lawn with only 1 shoe on, the cops are definitely going to ask to search the house and get a warrant if you said no. But this was Brian Albert's house, a well-respected veteran police officer. As Proctor's text messages would later show, they weren't going to hassle him, and they claimed there was no probable cause to search the house, despite the fact that none of them applied for a warrant, so a judge could determine that for them. For all they knew, John had been killed by someone who also killed the people inside the house. Yet they allowed Jennifer McCabe to go into the house by herself at 6:34 a.m., where she claims she woke up sleeping Brian and Nicole. Jennifer McCabe was the quarterback of the entire cover-up. She didn't cause John's injuries, but she was essential for making sure that those who did were never held responsible. Jen made sure to speak with every police officer that she could in order to push the narrative that Karen was responsible for John's being on the lawn. Dashcam footage shows Jen turning her back as John's body was being wheeled into the ambulance. She was too busy talking to Officer Surratt and laying the groundwork for framing Karen Reed. Jen's phone records show that she was talking to Carrie Roberts all day on January 29th, making sure that Carrie, a potential loose end, believed that Karen had killed John. She spoke to John's mother and made her feel the same way. She hid the fact that her cell phone data shows that on January 30th, she went to Sergeant Lank's house for an hour. She never disclosed this, but when confronted with the information at trial, she said that she had just gone there to talk to Lank's wife. Jen continued to show up at Karen Reed's hearings wearing a Justice for JJ button.
How can you wear those buttons when you covered up his murder?
And comforted the grieving family in court. What a psychopath. Soon after that, the sun came out and Lieutenant Gallagher began to search the grassy area where O'Keefe's body was found. There was less than 3 inches of snow on the ground at that time, so he used a leaf blower to clear off the light dusting and search for clues. He found transparent pieces of what appeared to be cocktail glass, but what he didn't find was 47 pieces of bright red taillights, some as big as a dinner plate, that Michael Proctor and the state police would find over the course of the next 3 weeks. The search was conducted on video too. Do you see any red taillight here? Transparent cocktail glass is much harder to see than bright red taillight taillight on bright white snow. This cannot be emphasized enough. There was no taillight anywhere near John's body at 7 a.m., nor was there a missing shoe. Around this time, Karen Reed made statements that she was suicidal and she was sectioned for the next 4 to 5 hours. During this time, the McAlberts were allowed to talk together away from police and get their story straight. At 9 a.m., McCabe called Lank on his cell phone to tell him that she suddenly remembered Karen saying, "Could I have hit him?" Her story later evolved at trial to, "Did I hit him?" She accused Lank of misquoting her in the original report. Police knew that protecting the crime scene was essential, especially since it was snow.
It's impressive. I know he's reading it, but it's impressive how much he knows about every single person that has touched this case, like each individual person.
Yeah, because
know,
it's emotional for him. It means a lot to him.
Yeah, and he can just recite like every single little detail, like timestamp, place, everything.
Right. It flows. It flows because yes, he's reading it. He's cued by what he's reading, but it's like it's
But
in
even when
his
he's not
memory.
reading
it's yeah. Well, isn't he reading for? Isn't he kind of like probably it's like bullet points type of thing?
Oh yeah, he's definitely
It
reading.
seems like he's reading.
But it makes you think about
to
how
your
much he
point,
knows.
MJ, it's flowing like just like it's so natural for him.
Mhm.
And he's
But
reading.
I think he can do it without the bullet points. You just have to give him like the topic, and then he can just go like way deep into these people's lives. He's smarter than they give him credit for.
He can riff, yeah, on this.
And he's into it. Like,
Oh yeah, he's
it's
in
like when I talk about Game of
That
Thrones.
was it. Now he really knows
Game of
about.
Thrones. That's your show.
Yeah, I know everything about it. Yeah, it's pretty big in my life.
You
Is
love
it
it.
still going on?
No, they ruined it at the end.
That's what they always do. Always.
And it was so like destructive to me that I quit drinking. Game of Thrones made me quit drinking.
Nice. Well, I'm happy and I'm sorry at the same time. They almost did that to Lost, and that was the last show I said I will never be invested in another show like this again.
Yeah.
But they cleaned it up. They backed it up, and it was awesome. We digress.
Could easily get buried. But the Canton police just left the crime scene completely abandoned the entire day. No crime scene tape put up, no cops to watch over the area and make sure the scene wasn't tampered with.
Crime scenes completely open.
Yes.
Unsecured.
Yes.
And Brian Albert didn't offer his house up as a command center for officers to come out of the cold. Blood droplets found at the scene were put in red Solo cups.
Just any solo cups or the Solo cups that you took back to the station from 34th Fair.
Were acquired from the deputy police chief, Tom Keller, who lived across the street.
It looks like an evidence bag. It just doesn't say Canton Police on it. It says Stop and Shop, but it does look like an evidence bag. It's the same thing.
It should be noted that Keller had a Ring camera pointed directly at the area where Commonwealth alleges that John was hit by a car. Michael Proctor never even asked to look at the Ring camera footage.
Because again, this is astounding. Look how close that is. It's right there.
I can even put my camera up there.
Yeah. Like that's the view it would have gotten.
Meanwhile, Proctor and his partner Yuri Buchanan didn't even go to 34 Fairview Road that day to investigate the scene. At 11:30, they decided it was finally time to interview some witnesses. But instead of separating them and recording their interviews at a police station, which is what detectives always do, they decided to interview just 4 witnesses: Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Nicole Albert, and Brian Albert at the McCabe's house. After being together all morning getting their story straight, the 4 of them drove across town in the middle of a blizzard where they were interviewed by Proctor and Buchanan. At no point was anyone in the house treated as a potential suspect who had to be ruled out. Their story was a simple one and was blindly taken as gospel by police. John O'Keefe never came in the house. But this story strained credulity because there's no possible way that none of them would hear or see a 3-ton vehicle striking a man, and that none of them would see his body laying on the lawn when they left. The 4 McAlberts all told the same story. They went out to the bar, things seemed fine. Karen and John pulled up outside. He never came in. She left, and in the morning, when Jen and Karen went out looking for him, Karen had a cracked taillight and said, "Could I have hit him?" upon finding his body. That was it. That was all Michael Proctor needed to hear to determine that Karen Reed was the killer. He didn't speak to anyone else, but he'd made up his mind by 12:30 p.m. By that time, no taillight pieces have been found, no one saw a body on the lawn, no surveillance video was pulled, and none of the first responders were interviewed. Nonetheless, Proctor and Buchanan had determined that Karen Reed was guilty, so they got in their car and drove to her parents' house in Dighton to seize her phone and car, which he knew was the murder weapon, based solely on what Jennifer McCabe had told him that Karen Reed had said. A cover-up is easier to cover up when you involve less people. It's not what the police did do during the investigation they made that made it a cover-up. It's what they intentionally didn't do. Proctor didn't interview Julie Nagel, Caitlin Albert, her boyfriend Tristan Morris, Brian Albert Jr. or any of the people who were admittedly at the house that night. Sarah Levinson was in the house that night, and her name was kept hidden from the defense for almost a year. Julie Nagel wasn't interviewed until 9 months after O'Keefe's death, and only after the defense filed a motion in which they pointed out how impossible it would be for no one to have seen a body on the lawn. Conveniently, for the first time at her interview, Julie Nagel told Proctor that she saw a dark, shadowy figure on the front lawn. She didn't say it was a body because she would have had to call police if she did, but calling it a dark, shadowy figure was her way of suggesting that something might have been there without implicating herself. Conveniently, at trial, Julie Nagel's story also evolved, this time claiming that the dark, shadowy figure was actually a 5 to 6 foot black blob. She testified that she realized the next day that the black blob was John O'Keefe, but didn't come forward to speak with police about it. Then there's Colin Albert. Despite admittedly being at Brian Albert's house that night, Colin wasn't interviewed by police until 18 months after John's death, and only in regard to him being a victim of alleged witness intimidation. Conveniently, on the day Karen Reed was arrested, Colin's mother, Julie Albert, sent Proctor's sister Courtney a text message offering a thank you gift to Proctor for not interviewing Colin. Instead of telling her that this was unethical, Proctor told her to give the gift to his wife Elizabeth instead. Colin Albert never had to hand over his phone or answer any questions from police. His existence at the house was hidden, despite the fact that Steve Scanlon somehow knew he was there that night. Colin claimed that he was home in bed by 12:30, but yet at 12:33, minutes after Reed left 34 Fairview and John O'Keefe's phone moved for the last time, Colin called a friend named Erin Beatty. She didn't answer, as kids at that age almost never call each other, and when she contacted him the next day, he goes, never mind. For telling people this story, Erin Beatty and her father, Tom Beatty, were harassed and ostracized by adults in the Canton community. Jennifer McCabe and her friend Jill Thomas reportedly told 17-year-old Erin Beatty to, quote, put a dick in your mouth instead of talking so much. Chris Albert confronted Tom Beatty and tried to get him to say that Colin never called Erin that night. They were going out of their way to pressure the Beatty family to lie and cover for Colin. Since Colin didn't speak with police and his parents did the speaking for him, an alibi for Colin was finally presented at trial, claiming that he was picked up by Jennifer McCabe's daughter, Allie, at 12:10. As evidence, the Commonwealth submitted an unverified screenshot of a text message with the name Colin at the top. No cell break report, just a screenshot that Chris Albert gave prosecutor Adam Lally. At 12:10, Allie tells what she claims is Colin, I'm here, but it doesn't say where here is. For all we know, she could have been picking up Colin to drive him to 34 Fairview, which would make sense because the party wasn't really starting until everyone else got back from the bar. Allie testified that she was driving people around all night and that Colin Albert was her last pickup at 12:10. She said she was home in bed by 12:30, but there was just one problem with that. Her Life 360 data shows that she was driving around till 1:30. But just like all the phone calls and Google searches in this case, the Commonwealth's response to this was that it was just a mistake. If we're to believe Colin's story, it would mean that a 17-year-old who likes to drink and party asked Allie McCabe for a ride to 34 Fairview Road to wish his much older cousin a happy birthday in person, then had her pick him up 90 minutes later in order to get him back home as soon as his fun uncle and his friends showed up to party. Right. Meanwhile, Chris Albert initially testified that he left the Waterfall bar and was home at between 12:05 and 12:10. He said that Colin got home 15 to 20 minutes later and came upstairs to say goodnight to his parents. There was a problem with that story, though. Chris is seen on surveillance video at the Waterfall bar at 12:13, and it would take him at least 7 to 8 minutes for him to walk home from there. By his own admittance, his son Colin got home much closer to 12:45, which meanwhile, Chris Albert initially testified that he left the Waterfall bar and was home at between 12:05 and 12:10. He said that Colin got home 15 to 20 minutes later and came upstairs to say goodnight to his parents. There was a problem with that story, though. Chris is seen on surveillance video at the Waterfall bar at 12:13, and it would take him at least 7 to 8 minutes for him to walk home from there. By his own admittance, his son Colin got home much closer to 12:45, which would mean that he was still at Brian Albert's house when John O'Keefe arrived. This is why the defense is so suspicious of Colin Albert. The McAlberts and the Commonwealth are insistent that Colin wasn't there when John O'Keefe was allegedly killed. But why would it matter if he was inside and John O'Keefe was killed outside by Karen Reed? Why did he call Erin Beatty, a girl he wasn't dating, out of the blue at 12:33? Why did his family try to silence the Beattys? Why did his mother offer Proctor a thank you gift? And why were his knuckles so cut up in a picture a few weeks later? Colin had an explanation for that too, which illustrated just how easily he could lie with a straight face.
And I was walking up the driveway and I slipped down the driveway and I tried to catch myself, but I had something in my left hand. So I tried to brace myself with my right hand and I ended up sliding a little bit down the driveway.
That's the biggest fucking lie of the whole two trials. If you ball it all up, that's the biggest fucking lie. Nobody catches themselves with their fists.
Them knuckles.
Right.
Nobody.
So dumb.
Unless like he did a forward roll and he was like
He didn't.
like he was doing some weird gymnastics.
There's no way. Does
Yeah.
he look like he's capable of weird gymnastics or anything,
No.
any kind of gymnastics?
No.
He doesn't even look like he's capable of reading a book. So.
You know what happens when you slide on, just coming from somebody who played a lot of baseball. You know what happens when you slide on your fist like that? You break your wrists.
Right.
Mm.
You're not strong enough. Especially if you're in motion and you got momentum. You're on your knuckles. No, you're going to turn
And
back.
your whole body weight is on those. Right. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
He's lying.
Obviously, that was a lie, which begs the
Liar.
question, if he didn't do anything wrong, why did he have to lie? Colin also testified he'd never been in a fight before. Shortly after that, the internet found 3 videos of him fighting, proving that he lied about that too. Why lie if you have nothing to hide?
You're a bitch, bro. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you, you pussy. Clean code, boy. You be knocked out. KO. Bang, bang.
These are questions an investigator looking for the truth could have grilled him on. Colin was a hothead and previously had issues with O'Keefe. But when the lead investigator is Michael Proctor, whose mother describes Colin's family as a second family, you don't have to worry about being questioned by police. But perhaps the most obvious witness that Proctor went out of his way not to speak to was Brian Lucky Loughran. Proctor interviewed DPW Director Michael Trotta and claimed that Trotta told him that the Canton DPW does not plow Fairview Road. This was an outright lie. I tracked down Mr. Trotta and asked him myself.
Is there any reason that Lucky Loughran, Brian Loughran, would have been plowing that road at 2:30 in the morning?
We generally have 2 people on every route. So there's usually a town plow with a contract plow.
After that, I tracked down Lucky, who was happy to tell me what he witnessed that morning. Lucky said that he did first plow Brian Albert's house at 2:30 and didn't see a body on the lawn. When I asked him if he would have seen a body if a body was there, he was insistent that he would because bright lights and constantly looking on the yards and scanning sidewalks in case animals ran into the road. Lucky told me that when he tried to do another plow at Fairview Road an hour later, he couldn't because there was a...
Mary B, how cool was it that we got to watch that next witness verdict with Jeff Williams?
I know. And that's the first time I've seen him since then.
And he fucking disappeared.
What? Wait, Jeff Williams came back to us?
Yeah, he was in here hanging out. And then the next witness video got to the verdict part and we all started giving him a little razz. And
Get the fuck out. Oh, you chased him away, brother.
I also asked if he
away.
paid,
Jeff's
and he
fucking
said
choices chased him away. Jeff trolling everybody chased him away.
Oh, he's harmless.
Oh, I know.
I asked him if he was Hank.
Take your fucking medicine on this time. Eat that
If he's
fucking throat. Eat
But he's
that
been around since the
throat.
first trial, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, taste that Nike in your mouth.
I don't know. I think we were
Ford Edge
questioning.
parked in the exact spot where John O'Keefe's body would be discovered 3 hours later. At least 3 members of the Albert family, Kevin, Brian, and Colin, owned a Ford Edge at the time. If there was nobody on the lawn at 2:30, which Lucky Loughran and 7 other witnesses said there was not, then Karen Reed couldn't have struck him at 12:30. Then a Ford Edge appeared. Then there was a body. You do the math. The fact that the state police didn't put out an all points bulletin looking for that Ford Edge is all the evidence you need to know that this was a cover up. Remember, this cover up wasn't so much what the cops did to cover it up. It was what they chose not to do. Choosing not to interview Lucky Loughran was deliberate. They knew that if they spoke to him, he was going to say there wasn't a body on the front lawn. And logically, they'd have to pursue whoever was driving the Ford Edge since they were allegedly right next to a dead cop on the lawn. Michael Proctor didn't want to pursue any leads that didn't point to Karen Reed. The state police finally decided to interview Lucky Loughran 18 months after the death of John O'Keefe and 2 days after I published this.
Oh, and Toy, if you're listening, Jenny Lynn is another one that needs a rat suit. I meant to put that on the list.
Bombshell interview with him. But Proctor and Buchanan weren't trying to learn more about the Ford Edge. They were trying to discredit his testimony and get him to say that I illegally wiretapped Lucky. At trial, Brian Tully testified that he didn't investigate the Ford Edge because Loughran couldn't possibly be sure it was a Ford Edge. But it had 4 wheels and an engine, and whoever was driving it was supposedly parked next to a dead body that police think was run over by a car. So wouldn't you want to find out who that person was and speak with them? Nah, better just pin it on Karen Reed. Rather than question any of these witnesses, Proctor and Buchanan drove to Dighton to seize Karen Reed's car, which they hadn't seen yet because they were certain that it was a murder weapon. No taillight had been discovered at the scene yet. At 2:30, they called and asked Dighton police for a tow. When they arrived an hour or so later, they didn't take a picture of Karen Reed's car to show the condition of the taillight before it had been towed, according to Michael Proctor's report. And as with all the witnesses, they didn't record any.
Hello, Becky Einhorn, new person in the chat. Welcome to the Rat House.
Of their interviews with Karen.
Becky.
Reed's car was towed at 5:30 p.m. This
Hey,
time is
Becky.
critical because the state police began searching the area where John O'Keefe's body was discovered at 5:45 and found 4 pieces of taillight. If the car was towed at 5:30, then there was no way it could get from Dighton to Canton in a blizzard, normally a 40-minute drive, in time to plant taillight. But as it turned out, Michael Proctor was lying about what time he towed the car. Video surveillance from the Reed's house shows the car being towed at 4:12, and a Dighton police report confirmed this. This meant that Proctor was unaccounted for with Reed's car for 78 minutes and would have more than enough time to get the vehicle to Canton and plant taillight before the state police search at 5:45. Nevertheless, in pretrial hearings, the Commonwealth continued to lie about what time the car was towed. Adam Lally said in court filings that Bill Reed's ring video didn't reset for daylight savings, but the sun set that day at 4:56, and there was still sunlight in the video at 4:12. Eventually, after realizing that they couldn't lie their way out of this one, the Commonwealth called it a scrivener's error, even though the digits 412 are nowhere near 530 on a keyboard. The state police search team, led by Lieutenant O'Hara, began arriving at 34 Fairview Road at 4:51, searched the area where John's body was discovered. uncovered. By that point, Proctor's commanding officer, Lieutenant Brian Tully, determined that O'Keefe was hit by a car and told O'Hara that they were looking for pieces of taillight. The scene was unsecured the entire day, and more than 18 inches of snow had fallen since the Canton police searched the area and didn't find a single piece of taillight. Internal messages show that the CERT team was ready to start digging at 5:30, but that Lieutenant Tully did not give them the green light. Time was of the essence, and snow was continuing to fall. What was Tully waiting for? Simple. They needed to wait for Karen Reed's car to arrive in Canton first. They could have brought the vehicle to any state police barracks close to Dighton, including Middleborough or Foxborough. Yet they insisted on bringing the car to the Canton Police Department less than 2 miles away from Brian Albert's house, where Kevin Albert was working. The car is seen on video, which was shown for the first time in Reed's first trial, entering the Canton Police Sallyport garage at 5:36 p.m. Proctor could be seen hanging around what appears to be the left rear taillight, which was not broken. In other words, there was no evidence Proctor went anywhere near Reed's broken right rear taillight, except there's just one problem. The video shown in court was intentionally inverted. What appeared to be left was actually right, and Proctor was hanging out there for a while.
In the video, the word police appears backwards on another vehicle parked in the garage. So does the number 4 on one of the garage's overhead doors. Defense attorney Alan Jackson believes it was no accident.
The timestamp across the bottom is not inverted.
And there appears to be somebody standing near it.
Who's the guy in the watch cap, in the winter cap, back there by that right rear tail light the entire time by himself? That's Proctor.
The Commonwealth was trying to deceive the jury. The cover-up was happening right in front of millions of people. For 20 seconds at 5:37, the video cuts out. And when it begins again, you could see another unknown man who was not in the video before, leaving the area where Proctor was standing by the right rear taillight. Who was this man? And did he have pieces of taillight with him when he left? Was it Kevin Albert, Brian Higgins' close friend, Chief Ken Berkowitz? The Commonwealth still can't explain who that was. But coincidentally, 5 minutes later, after that, Lieutenant Tully gave the CERT team the go-ahead to begin their search. Lieutenant O'Hara testified that he had no idea who several members of the CERT team were, but said that he believed they were Canton police. Minutes after they began searching, someone, they never said who, found a piece of red taillight under 18 inches of snow. This was the exact same area Lieutenant Gallagher searched on video during the daylight with a leaf blower on video and did not find any taillight. Yet the CERT team was able to find it under all that snow with minimal effort in the dark 10 minutes after Reed's car arrived at Canton police. Whoever this officer who found the taillight was never testified at trial. They also found John's missing size 12 shoe that the Canton police completely missed during their search. So either the Canton police are blind and incompetent, or the taillight and the shoe were planted. Shortly after that, someone on the CERT team found 3 more pieces of taillight. Once again, we don't know who, but Brian Tully had seen enough. And now that he had some physical evidence linking Reed to the crime scene, he shut down the search. O'Hara offered to come back the next day in the daylight to search some more, but Tully told him he was all set. Instead, the state police were instructed to drive by on their way to work to see if any taillight presented itself. And wouldn't you know it, it did. Over the course of the next 3 weeks, Chief Berkowitz, Sergeant Buchanan, and Proctor found a total of 47 pieces of red taillight. The pieces actually became bigger as time went by, leading to this dinner-sized plate discovered by Proctor on February 18th. You got that? Canton police, the CERT team, and everyone who went to the house for 3 weeks didn't see that piece of taillight just a few feet from the curb. Of course, Proctor didn't take any pictures of any of this because documenting isn't really his thing. After all, it's just the murder of a cop. Who cares about completely incorrect police reports? No chain of custody and a complete lack of documentation. You would think after the second or third time the taillight presented itself that the state police would have preserved the crime scene, but not these Keystone cops. They just kept doing their drive-bys until they could put the entire taillight together like a jigsaw puzzle. Here's the problem though. Reed's taillight did not look like this when she pulled out of John's driveway at 507.
What about the old ass sheriff that saw a piece of taillight from like 50 feet away as he was driving by?
Oh yeah, wasn't that
Berkey?
Berkey, yep.
Yeah.
The guy that was with
Fucking
Higgins
Coke
for
bottle
a while,
glasses
a long
on.
time.
It's like, come on, man, you didn't see that shit. Why isn't
What do you
any?
think, we're dumb?
Why doesn't any of that taillight have like salt stains on it from being
right
near the road where they plow up all the salt and the snow?
See, something I just realized though is like everyone always asks, what's the thing that you saw that made you say like, I need to watch this case because it's crazy. And you know, it's like the dog bites or the how long the dying cold. Well, for me, it was the dog bites. But then there was the thing that happened that made me be like, this is complete bullshit. And that was the inverted video in trial 1. I was like, I cannot believe they can get away with this. Like right in front of everyone's face.
That was the closer for you. That was it.
Those
That
fucking
sewed it up.
steps.
Yeah.
The 3 flights of steps is what gets me. And it just happens to be
Yeah,
3
me
flights
too.
of steps. You could go up one, back down, down another in that house. And that's what it would register, 3 flights. And that's what it did. And it's an Apple product, so it's probably fucking
Seconds after backing into his car. As you can see, the taillight was cracked, but not completely broken. Don't take my word for it. Listen to Dighton Police Sergeant Nicholas Barrows, who observed the condition of the taillight at the Reed house and made sure to point out.
I saw that there was some damage to the right rear taillight To my best ability and recollection, that tail light was not completely damaged. It was cracked and a piece was missing, but not completely damaged.
Perhaps the biggest obstacle for the Commonwealth was explaining John O'Keefe's injuries. In the words of John's brother, Paul O'Keefe, John looked like he had gone 5 rounds with Mike Tyson. People who get backed into cars have bruises and broken bones, but not John O'Keefe. Instead, John had 2 black eyes, a 3-inch laceration in the back of the head that looks like he was hit by a blunt object, and parallel linear cuts exclusively on his right arm. And did I mention that Brian Albert owned an aggressive German Shepherd named Chloe with a documented history of biting strangers and dogs? They tried to hide this from the court by opposing a defense motion for Canton Animal Control records and having Brian Albert's attorney, Greg Henning, lie in open court by claiming that Chloe never bit a human being. Animal Control records show that Chloe sent at least 2 people to the ER. According to Dr. Marie Russell, who has done thousands of autopsies, those are dog bites on John's arm. And guess what? The 6-year-old family dog was suddenly rehomed a few months after John's murder. They claim that Chloe is somewhere in Vermont, but won't say where. Oh, and they sold the house and they ripped up the basement floor too. But there's nothing suspicious about that. The Commonwealth originally claimed that Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe while doing a 3-point turn, and they stuck to this theory for the first 18 months after Reed's arrest. But after a turtle rider pointed out that it would have meant that the wrong taillight was broken, they quickly abandoned that theory. So how did John get those cuts on his arm? Surely the grass didn't do that. And if he had gotten run over, then his body would be covered in bruises and broken bones. The jury needed an explanation from an expert, and that's where this guy came in. Trooper Joseph Paul is Norfolk County's crash reconstruction expert, and he's got an associate's degree in administration to prove it. For the first time at trial, the Commonwealth explained that John was actually standing in the middle of a blizzard with his arm extended into the street. He had just gotten into a huge fight with Karen, and even though everyone was out that night, they seemed happy together. According to Trooper Paul, Karen...
Oh my God, Mary B. We are 1 person from ground zero.
Really? That was quick.
1 person from ground zero.
Reed, who was parked in front of the neighbor's house for some reason, began gunning it in reverse, hitting 24 miles an hour in just 62 feet. She sideswiped John O'Keefe, and the taillight hit John exclusively in the arm that was hanging out over the road for some reason. This caused the taillight to shatter into 47 pieces, all of which the Canton Police Department couldn't find in broad daylight. After striking John's arm, it caused him to then catapult 30 feet and do a pirouette in midair before hitting his head on the curb and then bouncing another 10 feet onto the grass, where he finally came to his final resting place on top of his phone. How did his phone end up underneath him, you ask? Trooper Paul had an answer for that, too.
What's your theory? How that cell phone ended up flying 30 feet?
It just did.
Just did. And somehow, as it landed, tucked that cell phone underneath the body to land on top.
It just did. That's the evidence at the scene. I didn't put the evidence there. So
well, you didn't.
It just did. Okay. And how did he get the laceration in the back of his head? Simple. The grass did it. You see, it was cold out that day. And when it gets cold, the ground turns into a blunt object that causes a cut like this, which looks like Professor Plum hit you with a lead pipe. I decided to test this theory out to see if it was even.
There he is, boots on the ground, warrior.
Scott McGinnis. Woohoo!
Scott.
Hey, Scott. Great to have you.
Yeah, glad you came back to hang out, man. Appreciate it.
Possible to accelerate 24 miles an hour and 62 feet. This is 62 feet. We're going to mark it off right here. All right. Boom. All right. And that's where 62 feet is. See my car up there? See where the chalk marker is on the ground? That's 62 feet. So look at, you mark 62 feet off, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where Karen Reed started. That's where the back of her car started, okay? And you see the line down there, the other line, that's where he got hit. Okay, so probably not 62 feet. So this dude just stood here and is like, yo, do you?
Oh, shit. It happened.
Did we do it?
Here.
We
still
did.
here.
We're still here, right?
Yep.
What?
Still here.
We're at 245, Janine. We're past the old channel.
Fuck yeah, brother. Woohoo! All right, round
Way
of
over on
applause,
watchtowers, right?
everyone.
Road. Back to ground zero.
Nice.
Nice.
We did it.
Jeez, it's like watching paint dry.
That's why you never give up.
I'm nervous right now.
Now it's gonna take off like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do that, but I'm
No,
nervous anyways.
Just don't get shut down.
Just make it through this.
Don't hit me. Like, look at, by the way, look how far away the car is. You see somebody coming at you in reverse like that? That's plenty of time to get away, right? Oh, yeah. Just jump out of the way. The first time I hit 14 miles per hour and ended up driving over the curb because the road curves right where his body was found.
Yeah, almost got it.
You're on the curb. Yeah, you're on the grass.
Then I got up to 17 miles an hour, and finally, when I put the pedal to the metal, I was able to hit 19.
I had 19 miles an hour there. That was pretty, I mean, that felt fast as shit.
Yeah, it looked fast.
And let me tell you, it was scary. Try going that fast in reverse, and you'll see that it feels like a roller coaster. It's not natural. There's no possible way you can accidentally run into someone at that speed. Keep in mind, I did this in perfect conditions with a Lexus that had a comparable engine to Reed's car. I couldn't come close to 24 miles an hour, and I wasn't a good enough driver to avoid the curb. But the Commonwealth would have you believe that Karen Reed transformed into a NASCAR driver, hitting 24 miles an hour in 62 feet, cutting the wheel just in time to intentionally hit her target in the arm. Oh yeah, and no one inside the house saw or heard it happen. And they call us conspiracy theorists. You don't have to be a doctor to realize that this was complete bullshit. But luckily, the defense had not one, but two doctors who testified as to the scientific reasoning why John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car. Dr. Daniel Wolf and Dr. Andrew Rentschler are crash reconstruction experts who work for a company called ARCA. They have contracts with the Department of Defense and the NHL and were hired by someone, the defense wasn't allowed to say who, at trial, to run tests in order to see if John O'Keefe's injuries could have come from a motor vehicle collision. They made it clear that the laws of physics said that John O'Keefe could not have been hit by a car and that a side swipe would not knock him out of his shoe. So not only does the red taillight bloom on Brian Albert's front lawn like a perennial plant every February, but Newton's laws of physics also ceased to exist there at that time. After Reed was indicted for murder, arrested, and released on a $100,000 bail, she realized the Commonwealth was pressuring her to take a plea deal for manslaughter. Video footage of her arrest and booking on June 9th, 2023 shows Reed telling Sergeant Buchanan,
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian from Calm Albert. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right? My taillight is cracked and John is polarized.
Karen realized that she was up against the most powerful and corrupt government officials who felt political pressure to get a conviction for an alleged cop killer. In September of 2022, she hired high-profile LA-based attorney Alan Jackson and his associate Elizabeth Little, specifically because of Jackson's experience with cell phone data extraction. Jackson had previously represented Kevin Spacey in Nantucket after he was falsely accused of sexually assaulting a young man. The data extraction showed that a number of exculpatory text messages from the alleged victim's phone were deleted by his mother, Heather Unruh, a WCVB reporter, and Jackson got the case thrown out. In October of 2022, the Reed team filed a motion asking the court to order that several people inside the house, including Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, preserve their phones. For the first time, they put on the record their theory that John O'Keefe was killed inside the house and that Karen was framed afterward. Shortly after the motion was filed, Brian Albert's youngest brother, Tim Albert, posted this ominous, threatening message on Facebook telling the world that if you fuck with his family, he won't hesitate to make you the most miserable person. Judge Peter Krupp allowed the motion for the preservation order, but the day before it was to be put into place, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were tipped off to it by the Norfolk County DA's victim witness advocate, Steve Nelson. Brian Albert immediately got rid of his phone, and Higgins removed his SIM card, placed the phone and SIM card in separate trash bags, and drove them to an Army base in Cape Cod, where he disposed of them in a dumpster. They both pretended that this was normal when they testified. Back to the ARCA experts. Guess who hired them? Not the defense. It was actually the FBI. Shortly after the addition of Jackson and Little, Reed's defense team reached out to the United States Attorney's Office because they believed their client was the victim of a police cover-up and corruption in the DA's office. The USAO easily could have ignored them, but they found their claims credible and ended up launching an investigation into the investigation of John O'Keefe sometime around December of 2022. On April 10th, 2023, Colin Albert.
What's up, sweet woman?
What's going on?
Hey,
Hey.
Hi, late night for you.
What's up?
No, I just got home.
Where were you?
From another concert?
No, I saw Gronk and Edelman do their
Oh,
live
I forgot that
broadcast.
was tonight.
What was that?
Gronk and Julian Edelman from the Patriots.
Yeah.
They have a podcast and they did a live one in Boston at the MGM Fenway.
Get out. Oh,
Oh,
I
it was
love
so
them.
fun.
Because they can.
Because they can, yeah. Vince
Yeah.
Wilfork was there.
Oh, really?
Ty Law.
Shut up. Oh, I'm so mad.
Wow.
You didn't know
Andrews.
about this, MJ?
Yes, I
she was
forgot
gonna
it
get a
was
ticket.
tonight. I was gonna go.
Aw.
I forgot.
You guys could have gone together.
Jamie, this video is from 4 months ago.
Oh, is that what you're watching? Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at
We're playing with Frame 2.
Dum Dum's on.
Dumb.
I love Gronk. There is no one like Gronk.
Yes, he's so funny.
He should have a
He's
camera
so
on him
cute.
nonstop. He's just that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Camille was there. She's so cute. Like it was
Is that his
fun.
wife?
Yeah, they're not married, but she used to be a cheerleader. She's like a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Of course, right?
It was so fun.
I thought that they got engaged though. I follow him on Instagram.
Maybe they
I
did.
just love him.
I know, he's so sweet.
He's so sweet. He's just a great guy.
And it's funny because the girl that I went to high school with, she lives in his neighborhood in Foxborough. And she said he's so nice, like at Halloween, just such a great neighbor.
Yeah. He's just, oh my goodness, Gronky. He just looks like that guy. And how much joy did you guys get? And it's like, I'm not even a masshole, but you know, my kid is a Patriots fan. And like when his dad died, I started watching the games with him. And I just fell in love with Gronk. I don't know, like at what point Gronk was on the team, but like watching Tom and Gronk, but like his energy on that field, chef's kiss. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Here we go, sweet woman. Back to this.
Sorry.
How far away from Gronk?
That was fun.
Did they do it in the stadium or just a giant?
No, there's a it's attached to the back of Fenway Park. It's just
That's
they added on
cool.
to this building. It's crazy. It's really neat.
That's cool.
Sometimes
Yeah,
there's
you can get
events
videos over here.
like James Taylor played there when the Who played in Fenway.
Get it? So it's an old
on
structure.
Tuesday night. They added on to it. Like they built it. I can't recall like how it was like set up before they built the MGM music hall, but it was like it was sort of already there. Like I'm not, like the way they didn't change any like roadways or anything like that.
They just kind of they renovated it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So you had fun.
Was visited in his Bridgewater State dorm room by
Cool.
2 FBI officials with the subpoena
That's
to appear
awesome.
before a federal grand jury. Several others inside the house also received summons, including Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. I wrote my first story in the Canton cover-up a week later, and the Karen Reed case blew up overnight. In May of 2023, Lucky Loughran was also visited by 2 FBI agents as he repeated the same story that he told me. There was no body on Brian Albert's front lawn at 2:30. Everyone in the house immediately lawyered up. Brian Albert's family hired attorney Greg Henning. Colin Albert hired Joe Krowski Jr. And Higgins hired Brian Connelly. Higgins immediately cut tie with the Albert family and began ignoring their messages. Clearly, they were worried about what Higgins would tell the grand jury. This prompted Kevin Albert to send a text message to Higgins telling him that he was making everyone worried. But worried about what? Just tell him the guy never came in the house. Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Albert, Colin Albert, Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, Michael Proctor, and several others ended up testifying before a closed-door grand jury session. Although no indictments have come as of yet, the FBI hired ARCA to see if Karen Reed could be ruled out as a suspect. She was. From there, they began secretly monitoring the McAlberts and Proctor's phones, and their suspicious, incriminating text messages were included in a 3,000-page report that was given to both the Commonwealth and the defense shortly before trial. The report is what showed Brian Albert and Higgins were tipped off to destroy their phones. The investigation discovered that Albert and Higgins lied to the state grand jury that indicted Karen Reed when they testified they were sleeping at 2 a.m. At 2:22 a.m., Albert called Higgins, but Higgins didn't answer. Higgins called back right away, and they spoke for 22 seconds. After being confronted with the fact that they clearly lied about being asleep, Higgins and Albert came up with a new lie. They butt-dialed and butt-answered each other. In fact, Albert testified that after drinking all day, the man in his 50s decided to have sex with his wife, Nicole, and while they were having sex, he butt-answered Higgins' butt-dial. A February 1st, 2022 group text message with the McCabes and Alberts shows that Matt McCabe was telling the others to instruct Chris Albert to tell the media.
Tell them the guy never went in the house, correct?
Yes.
Mr. McCabe, who was the guy that you were referring to? Does he have a name?
That would be John.
Why would they need to instruct Chris Albert, who wasn't at 34 Fairview Road that night, to say this if John never came inside the house? The text also showed that the McAlberts were heavily monitoring police activity at the scene and discussing who was telling the police what. A Quantico-trained forensic expert from the FBI also confirmed that Jennifer McCabe's Google search happened at 2:27. But perhaps the most damning thing the FBI discovered were Michael Proctor's text messages. On the evening of January 29th, 2022, when one of his friends named Bird asked Proctor if the homeowner would, quote, get some shit for having a dead cop on his lawn, Proctor responded by saying, nope, homeowner is a Boston cop. Literally saying that the reason Brian Albert wouldn't be treated as a potential suspect, as he normally would, was because of his status as a police officer. The messages with his friends that night show that he had already decided that Karen Reed, and Karen Reed alone, was guilty, telling them that there would be, quote, serious charges brought on the girl. He couldn't hide his disdain for Karen Reed, telling his friends,
she's a whack job.
These are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Cunt. Yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
When asked if she would be skating on the charges, he replied, 0 chances she skates. She's fucked. He told them that, quote, all the powers that be want answers ASAP, indicating political pressure to charge Reed quickly. Proctor's text not only showed his bias, it showed what a pig he was. When asked if she was attractive, Proctor made fun of her medical condition.
She's got a leaky balloon knot, leaks poo.
On the day that she was indicted, Proctor texted fellow Norfolk State Police Detective David DeChico and said that Reed was attractive.
If you like women who shit themselves.
Right before arresting Reed for murder on June 9th, Proctor texted his wife Elizabeth and told her,
Proctor is a piece of shit.
I love watching him have to watch himself say that stuff.
Oh, so great.
Anybody that's not in our Discord that's here lurking and would like to hang out with us in Discord, there's the link. Click it. Join us.
Please. So do you guys see Proctor getting his job back?
No.
No.
The lawyer for the fucking state police, he ain't getting his damn job back.
No, that would seem
Unreal.
so bad for them.
You better get to fucking riding them lawnmowers or learning how to
we're
crank.
gonna lock this whack job up.
Take
On
it to the
August
ground.
17th,
Them
in a
assholes
group
are gonna
text that
burn that
included his
house down.
superior officers, Lieutenant
God
Fanning and
forbid.
Sergeant Buchanan, Proctor said that he was going through David Yanetti's
Retarded client's phone. No nude so far. I hate that man. I truly hate him.
since Yannetti was alleging that Proctor's investigation was flawed. Proctor's text also showed that he and DeChico discussed ways to manipulate the medical examiner. Proctor called ME Irene Scortibello a whack job because her report said that the cause of John's death was undetermined. DeChico mocked Proctor for not being able to pressure the ME to come back with a homicide determination. Proctor really hated Scortibello, and she turned out to be a great witness for the defense of the trial because she testified that John could have been hit with a blunt object. Perhaps most disturbing was Proctor.
If you do join the Discord, turn notifications off immediate.
There's text messages with his sister Courtney in which they both talk about how they hope Karen Reed kills herself so that the O'Keefe family didn't have to sit through a trial. Jurors were never told about the federal investigation, so they had no idea that all of these text messages came from the feds, or that ARCO was hired by the feds, or that the investigation itself was so suspect that the U.S. attorney himself, Josh Levy, had conducted a grand jury in which all these witnesses were grilled about their lies. Jurors afterwards said that they thought ARCO was paid to lie by Karen Reed's car insurance company. Had they known about the federal investigation, it certainly would have impacted their verdict, which is exactly why Judge Beverly Connelly didn't allow it to be mentioned in court. Speaking of Judge Connelly, the former public defender hasn't exactly tried to hide her obvious bias for the favor of the Commonwealth. Judge Connelly wouldn't allow the defense to hold an evidentiary hearing. She allowed the Commonwealth witnesses who aren't doctors to testify about the causation of injuries, but not defense witnesses, and put sanctions on defense attorneys over a misunderstanding involving paying for witnesses, travel expenses, but never once reprimanded the Commonwealth for presenting an inverted video at trial. In July of 2023, the defense filed a motion to recuse the judge after Matt McCabe's brother Sean messaged this award-winning journalist and said that he was going to murder me and bury my corpse in the front yard of Auntie Bev's seaside cottage. Somehow, Sean McCabe knew that Cannoni owned a seaside cottage down the Cape that was just a couple miles from his house. Additionally, Judge Cannoni's brother is a lawyer who represented Chris Albert in 1994 when Albert was convicted of killing a Hungarian foreign exchange student in a hit-and-run car crash. To the surprise of no one, Judge Cannoni Connelly denied the motion to recuse after determining that she wasn't biased. Little did I realize that Sean McCabe was going to be the least of my problems. You see, I was too effective at getting the word out about the Commonwealth's blatant corruption. I was holding protests in the courthouse steps before hearings, and even held a rolling rally in Canton where we stopped at the homes of the McAlberts and Proctors for 5 minutes each, and I explained to the crowd of 100 or so people what they'd done to cover up the murder of John O'Keefe. The state police and Norfolk DA's office really didn't like this. In August of 23, DA Michael Morrissey issued a press release video in which he inappropriately vouched for the truthfulness of the McAlberts, said that Michael Proctor didn't know any of the witnesses, and demanded that the protests stop. But of course, we didn't.
Colin Albert didn't commit murder. Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Albert. These people were not part of a conspiracy and certainly did not commit murder or any crime that night. They have been forthcoming with authority, providing statements, and have not engaged in any cover-up. They are not suspects in any crime. They are merely witnesses in the case.
Oh.
Trooper Proctor had no close personal relationship with any of the parties involved in the investigation.
What?
And had no conflict. And he had no reason to step out of the investigation. Every suggestion to the contrary is a lie.
On September 25th, 2023, I published a story after getting a tip that a car resembling Jennifer McCabe's was seen parked at the Proctor's house. If true, it would mean that Morrissey had lied in the statement about the Proctors not being friends with any of the witnesses. In order to verify this, I asked Turtle Riders if one of them could run a license plate for me and gave them the license plate number of the car parked outside Proctor's house. Several people ran it for me, but one of them was an Avon police dispatcher named Janelle Webb, and it was traced back to her. For the crime of peacefully protesting, reporting the news, and exposing the fact that Michael Morrissey is a liar, I was arrested on October 11th, 2023 at my kid's bus stop and charged with 9 counts of felony witness intimidation, 3 counts of picketing, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit witness intimidation. I was indicted 2 months later. Since I was out on bail, another charge would mean that my bail could be revoked for 60 days. Naturally then, Brian Tully and Special Prosecutor Ken Mello began conspiring with the side chick I was seeing on Friday nights, deputized her as a witness, and got her to invite me over her apartment so that they could falsely accuse me of hitting her and have me charged with witness intimidation. For that, I was sentenced to 60 days in jail on my birthday, the day after Christmas. The trial began on April of 2024 and lasted almost 3 months. On the final day of closing statements, Judge Cannoni called up a juror who was visibly disgusted by the Commonwealth throughout most of the trial and told her that she'd been reported by Lieutenant John Fanning, who was somehow in charge of juror security, for allegedly talking about the case at a bar 6 weeks prior. And Judge Cannoni then appointed a former cop who was hit by a car to be the jury foreman, exempting him from the lottery that would determine who the alternates were. Clerk Jim McDermott drew 2 numbers out of a bucket but didn't show anyone in court what those numbers were. 2 other jurors who planned on voting not guilty were named alternates and not allowed to deliberate. After 5 days of deliberations,
the deep division is not due to a lack of effort or diligence, but rather a sincere adherence to our individual principles and moral convictions. To continue to deliberate would be futile and only serve to force us to compromise these deeply held beliefs. I'm not going to do that to you folks. Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial in this case.
Judge Cannoni declared a mistrial without polling any of the jurors. Just when you thought things couldn't get any more corrupt, jurors started speaking out afterwards.
The one charge that we were not very clear on and not everybody was in agreement with was essentially the manslaughter charge, involuntary manslaughter. So that was the one that we were not clear on. But the other 2 charges, which was essentially second-degree murder as well as leaving a scene of an accident, was very clear. We all 12 agreed that was not the case.
And since the jury instructions were not clear, they had no idea that they could acquit on 2 charges and hang on the 3rd. So now Karen Reed will have to face those charges again, despite half the jury coming forward and swearing that they voted to acquit her. Trial 2 will be very different from the first trial. Micah Proctor has been fired, and it's unclear if he or the disastrous Joseph Hall will be called as witnesses by the Commonwealth. We know that they've abandoned several of their own witnesses that were favorable to Karen Reed, and they've added fake YouTube doctors as expert witnesses who will try to prove that Trooper Paul what he couldn't do in the first trial. The Norfolk County DA's office has hired mob attorney Hank Brennan, a close personal friend of mass murderer Whitey Bulger, to be lead prosecutor for the Commonwealth. They have dozens of ADAs who get paid to do that job already, but all of them refused to do it, and there was no way they were going with Lunchbox Lally again. Brennan claimed that he wanted to ensure Karen Reed got a fair trial, but since taking over, he spent most of his time trying to prevent her witnesses from testifying. Thus far, Brennan has shown a deep personal obsession with getting things he's not entitled to, like phone records for me and everyone in Karen Reed's family. But the facts and the science remain on the side of Karen Reed. Some may say that it's hard to believe that this many people could be involved in a conspiracy, but it's really not that complicated. 5 well-connected people with ties to law enforcement, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Matt McCabe, Jennifer McCabe, and Brian Higgins, spoke to police after being alone for hours and getting their simple story straight. The guy never came in the house. The lead detective was from Canton, and his family called the Alberts a second family. All he had to do was cover for them, plant some taillight, and avoid doing normal detective work. His his bosses instinctively covered for him because cops don't snitch on other cops. From there, it's just people trusting institutions. It all makes sense. It all fits. Karen Reed defying the laws of physics, cell phone data no longer being reliable evidence, and eyewitnesses not seeing something that they definitely should have seen does not make any sense. There can never be justice for John O'Keefe without justice for Karen Reed. She is undeniably innocent, which means by default that the McAlberts are undeniably guilty. We may never know exactly what happened to John O'Keefe when he went inside Brian Albert's house, but we know as a fact that he was beaten up by several people, attacked by a dog, and thrown out on the lawn to die in the cold. We know as a fact that the state police are well aware of this and that they allowed Michael Proctor to intentionally subvert justice. But we also know that we will never stop fighting for justice until Karen Reed is free. As we
Nice. Danny, one night, could we watch the rolling rally and look for our girl?
We watched it last time.
We did? Oh, I missed it.
And I may get lost in this micro dots, but this is a good one. It's one of the early ones. I've been trying to find some of the first ones.
Damn. So did you find our girl? And so you watched the rolling rally the other day?
The whole thing?
The whole thing?
I don't know if we watched the whole thing, but she was in. Yeah, we watched some of it. I know. It's been queued up in my Turtle Boy stuff for the last couple streams.
Forever. Damn, I missed.
I'm gonna roll this thing before people start leaving. So it's micro dots.
Do it.
I'm gonna get lost.
Do it.
The case that was so huge just got even bigger.
These headphones, man, they get you.
The music, man, sucks you in. So cool.
I'm in position. Okay, Brian. I have the yellow target. We're doing a slow roll. As soon as he puts the kids on, we'll jump on him. Tougher.
On October 11th, 2023, Norfolk District Attorney Michael W. Morrissey shocked the region by ordering his harshest critic, outspoken journalist Aidan Kearney, widely known as TURTLEBOY, to be arrested. The same mass state troopers he named as corrupt were the arresting officers.
Small children approaching from across the street. The yellow target is landing. All units stand by for orders. Go. We got him.
Can we get crime scene up here, please?
Get his phones, computers, tablets. Search the kids' rooms. Go through everything.
In a courthouse intentionally pre-packed with Aidan's opposition as to not allow room for his supporters to enter, Special Prosecutor Ken Mello began to outline the charges. As thousands of Turtleboy supporters were watching the courthouse Zoom feed, one member of the public communicated what we were all thinking rather poetically. After dedicating weeks to meticulous research on the arrest and the purported statement of facts levied against Aidan Kearney, by our estimation, it can be unequivocally asserted that the presented information is nothing short of total and utter bullshit.
It appears that in the past he has.
You'd be forgiven for mistaking this entire charade for a Monty Python sketch, which would be comical if not for a reporter's freedom at stake.
Appears that in the past he's encouraged his followers to take various actions with respect to witnesses in this matter. We're asking that there be no harassment of witnesses or their families, no intimidation of witnesses or their family members. We're asking that he not on his blogs or otherwise encourage his blog followers to photograph witnesses, their families, their homes, etc.
One of the tactics we see used over and over again by Ken Mello against Turtleboy is he presents lies as fact. For example, Aidan has never instructed his audience to take photographs of witnesses in public or visit their homes to ask questions. However, even if he did, there is absolutely nothing illegal about taking pictures in public spaces, nor is knocking on doors in a residential neighborhood to ask a question. If it were, the Girl Scouts of America would be featured on America's Most Wanted. The notion that Aidan is responsible for a lawful action carried out by an entirely unknown individual with no direction from him is laughable and undermines the credibility of this judicial institution. A Freudian slip is an unintentional error in speech that reveals unconscious thoughts or feelings. And Ken Mello is about to reveal what's been dominating his thoughts as of late.
As Your Honor will hear from the evidence presented by the Commonwealth's argument, the defendant has shown up at sports games.
I'm sorry, Ken, but who has shown up at sports games?
Defendant has shown up at sports games.
Did you say the Fed? Did you mean the defendant? It is a documented fact that an FBI investigation is currently underway in the Karen Reed case. The specific individuals under scrutiny remain uncertain. Nonetheless, a special prosecutor pressing baseless charges designed to suppress an independent journalist could be a likely target. In Ken's defense, I'd likely be having intrusive thoughts about federal officials too.
Attended or that were being engaged in by children of witnesses and has made scenes there using loudspeakers, etc.
This is a lie. Turtleboy never employed a loudspeaker at any sports games. In fact, even using the plural sports games is a lie in itself. Aidan attended a single lacrosse game with a news cameraman to ask a witness a few questions. Turtleboy's detractors often cite this event as him going too far, and it's anyone's right to hold that opinion. But remember, this is a legal setting, and even if a journalist following a story into the stands of a lacrosse game is something you yourself disagree with, it doesn't make it illegal. In fact, despite what you may have heard about the horror and fear of this interaction, it begins with this.
Hey, Matt, how you doing, pal?
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? How you doing? Hey, Jen, how you doing? Fancy seeing you here. How are you?
All right.
So how did court go the other day?
Went great.
Sorry, do you have a child on the team?
Do you?
Some things to notice. Aidan calmly approaches Matt with a warm greeting and a handshake. Then Matt reciprocates, saying, "Hey, tough guy, how you been?" Aidan says to Jen, "Fancy seeing you here." Jen responds, "I know. Amazing." Aidan then asks, "How did court go the other day?" To which Matt answers, "Great." Jen and Matt are both smiling, and no one involved seems particularly intimidated. Jen and Matt are entertaining questions from Aidan, which is a signal for him to continue. But none of the words exchanged between the McCabe's and Aidan are as important as what remains unsaid. At no point in the interaction do we hear Matt or Jen say anything resembling, "Please leave us alone." Later, we do have unknown third parties asking Aidan and Richie to please leave, but that's not the same as Matt or Jen saying it. Now is an opportune moment to underscore a crucial aspect of Aidan's character. He's well versed in the intricacies of the law and how it applies to his journalism. He certainly doesn't want to get arrested for going too far. What if he was specifically waiting for Jen or Matt to ask him to stop? That would have been a clear signal directly from the interviewee that no answers would be forthcoming. However, after closely reviewing the footage multiple times, that statement is nowhere to be found. Let's continue reviewing the tape together and see if we can pinpoint exactly when this became an illegal activity.
I do, so I'm trying to watch.
No, I'm at a public event, so I can do whatever I want. So anyway, so Jen, I have a question. Did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed? Did you?
Notice here that Aidan is standing at least 4 feet away from Jen. He's by no means in her face. And instead of saying no comment, or "I'm scared," she chuckles through a large grin, which can be interpreted as her responding to his question, meaning she is willingly engaging in conversation.
Do you think that's funny? Do you think that's funny? How long to die in cold? What is this gentleman doing? Look at that, the ring's face.
Here, Matt appears to be the first and only person to get physical by pushing Aidan, which you can easily see here delights Jen. If she isn't finding this interaction enjoyable, her expressions and behavior certainly suggest otherwise.
Hey, Jen, are you worried about what's going to happen to your family when you go to jail?
Don't touch me.
Why are you shaking,
Touch
dude?
me again.
Why are you
Touch me
shaking?
again. Touch me again.
So, Jen, are you worried about what's going to happen when your kids go to jail?
Touch me again.
When you go to jail, I apologize,
Touch
to
me.
your children.
Aidan misspeaks, and upon realizing it, issues an apology to the children. And although Matt seems to be the one invading Aidan's personal space, Matt implies something will happen if Aidan touches him again. It's crucial to highlight the significant size differential between Aidan and Matt. Aidan, standing at 5'8.5" with a medium athletic build, is notably smaller in comparison, whereas Matt appears substantially larger, almost like a giant standing beside it.
Are you worried at all about that?
Huh?
Huh?
Touch
Oh, what's going on here?
Oh, you're so fast.
Oh, what are we
I
doing
know,
here?
so sure you were.
Jen, did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed, yes or no? Did you? Why did you?
We see here that despite a barrage of insults and taunting from Matt, Aidan continues to seek answers to the questions he has about the Karen Reed case. The McCabe's still showing no signs of fear, and it seems Matt is the only source of intimidation directed towards Aidan. However, most surprisingly, is there still no vocalized request to end the interview from Matt or Jen. If only we had a neutral third party to serve as witnesses who could tell us if, by their perception, Aidan was out of control. These two Billerica Field officials, completely unaware of the Karen Reed case and unfamiliar with TURTLEBOY or the McCabe's, arrived to the scene after being summoned by a Canton parent.
They think Richie is TURTLEBOY.
Oh boy, here we go.
See them blocking it. Like, no, dude, it's me. It's actually me.
I'm about 5'8 3/4. How much do you weigh? You're very thin. Yeah, you look sharp the other day in court. You look great.
They are entirely unaware that Aidan is the individual they've been instructed to remove, instead singling out Richie, who, incidentally, rarely speaks unless spoken to as the apparent source of the disruption. From their actions, it can be deduced that Aidan's behavior gave the impression that he himself was a member of the McCabe party and did not pose a hostile threat. Richie leaves the area once directly asked by the officials and waits for Aidan at field level. Matt seems to be more relaxed now, and Aidan's banter with him could be characterized as light-hearted teasing. Claiming this is harassment or intimidation, as Ken Mello has done in open court in front of a judge, would be factually incorrect and intentionally misleading. These two frames extracted from Aidan's video during the peak of the interaction clearly reveal that none of the other spectators present at the game appeared to take notice of the incident. This dispels any misinformation suggesting that the game was disrupted or that a scene was created. After a few more minutes of speaking with the Billerica Field officials who had no idea what this was all about, Aidan himself ends the interview and leaves.
Okay, we'll give it a wrap, but I just thought I'd stop by and have a great night. We'll see you soon, Jen. How long to die in cold? Maybe you can answer that question for me. We'll find out later.
Let us remind you that Jen had applied for a restraining order against Aidan just a week prior and was denied. The judge's response.
But I would need to find, by a preponderance of the evidence, a substantial likelihood of the immediate danger of abuse as defined by the law. Because of the free speech issues and his status in the press, I'm just not getting it.
It appears likely that the prosecution chose to silence Aidan by consolidating all his legal activities under the guise of witness intimidation, then amplifying them through out-of-context excerpts and outright falsehoods. However, for any of Aidan's actions to qualify as felony witness intimidation in Massachusetts, 3 factors are required. 1, that the defendant, either directly or indirectly, made a threat or attempted to coerce another person. With the exception of Matt daring Aidan to touch him again, we heard no threats or coercion from either party. 2, the other person was a witness, juror, or law enforcement official at any stage of a criminal investigation, trial, or other criminal proceeding. Since the McCabe's are witnesses in the Karen Reed case, this factor is met. 3, the defendant did so willfully with the specific intent to impede, obstruct, delay, harm, punish, or otherwise interfere with the criminal proceeding. After seeing for yourself, did you get the impression Aidan intended to intimidate the McCabe's to dissuade them from testifying, or from providing truthful testimony in the upcoming Karen Reed trial? If you answered no, then it's simply not witness intimidation. And let us plant a flag here regarding specific intent. We'll come back to unpack that shortly.
For 1977,
held the employee at gunpoint while demanding.
Hold up to 650 pounds of pizza, with or without pepperoni.
The FBI. I should be authorized to be here.
This is the end.
It's worth reviewing a few aspects of this unprecedented statement by Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey, which took place on August 25, 2023. The lacrosse game, rolling rally, and other protests had already taken place by this point. It's filled with provably false statements and bias against Karen Reed as a defendant, including some easily rebutted assertions about the people and events that transpired the night John was murdered. He scolds the general public for drawing definitive conclusions about the case before trial. However, what's most ironic is that the district attorney seems to be completely unaware of the fact that this is exactly what he himself is doing. By making one-sided comments about a case when, as a matter of ethics, he should not. But again, what's most interesting is what he doesn't say. Let's listen carefully to the district attorney's next statement.
To have them accused of murder is outrageous. To have them harassed and intimidated based on false narratives and accusations is wrong.
To have them accused of murder is outrageous, and to have them harassed based on what he perceives as false narratives is wrong. But he doesn't say anything that's happened up until this point has broken the law. If the rolling rally was so clearly a demonstration of widespread felony witness intimidation involving literally hundreds of suspects, does he not have a responsibility to communicate that to the public? We learned from the charging documents against Aidan that cameras were placed in several of the locations where the protest was scheduled to occur. We also know that the Canton PD and the Mass State Police had absolutely no visible presence at any of those locations on that day. Just how concerned, with the safety of the witnesses and their neighbors, could they have been, when they seemed far more interested in using them as bait to gather video evidence against Aidan? Moreover, if merely...
Connor, this is what's gonna happen to you if you keep messing with my wife out there.
I can spin without losing my balance and getting in perfect position to get rid of this wheelchair wacko, take him right out of circulation with a step-through sidekick like so.
Brother's got a red gi, Connor.
Urging someone to speak truthfully becomes a offense than the simple act of placing a witness under oath, and telling them to tell nothing but the truth must also be equally placed in that category. Any Catholic priests taking confessional, who are caught saying the truth will set you free, are also vulnerable to being charged, and may have a brand new scandal to deal with.
They are witnesses doing what our justice system asks of them.
Yes, they are. And all that's been asked of them by Turtleboy or anyone else has been for them to be honest, which doesn't meet the criteria to be classified as witness intimidation, because it doesn't carry with it the malicious specific intent to interfere with legal proceedings. Perhaps the biggest issue looming over the Commonwealth is their complete lack of credibility, which is perfectly demonstrated in the next statement.
In addition to having no opportunity to plant the evidence, as has been suggested, Proctor would have no motive to do so. Trooper Proctor had no close personal relationship with any of the parties involved in the investigation and had no conflict. And he had no reason to step out of this investigation. Every suggestion to the contrary is a lie.
Here the DA is suggesting Trooper Proctor had no motive because he had no close personal relationship with any of the parties. But it's been well established through Turtleboy's reporting that the Alberts are like a second family to the Proctors. Therefore, according to the DA's logic, the motive for a cover-up does in fact exist. At the cost of their own credibility, the Commonwealth simply refuses to acknowledge the close personal relationship between the lead investigator and the family at the center of this case. If he so vehemently denies such an obvious fact, how can we trust any of his accusations against Turtleboy? Morrissey's statement was widely criticized for its possible ethics violations, for he seemed to be trying to convince the public that there is no reason to think the defendant is anything but guilty. A man who's been serving in official government positions since 1977 really should know better than to presume a defendant is guilty before she receives her day in court. So when the top law enforcement official in the county is commenting on the peaceful protests occurring in this case and has the perfect opportunity to make everyone aware that what they're doing is illegal, what words does he choose to end with?
But the message is the same. What is happening to these innocent people, these witnesses, is wrong and it needs to stop.
A reasonable person's takeaway from Michael Morrissey's full statement is this: he doesn't like it or agree with it, which is his opinion. He doesn't want it to continue, but there's no indication that by continuing to exercise one's constitutional right to protest, they are breaking the law.
I'm not going to kick your ass. I don't need to do that. I'm more dangerous with my words because I'm so good at finding evidence and exposing people. And that's not a threat. It's a beautiful day for some peaceful protesting.
We're not against anybody. We're not violent like that.
We keep things peaceful.
We're here to peacefully protest. I'm a award-winning journalist. I can come to your home and ask you questions. Like, that's what the media does.
Be above them, be better than them. That's not a threat. That's investigative journalism we're doing here, folks. I mean, you guys
parking lot. I'm like, look,
be respectful.
you got
And peaceful, no matter what they say. Stay respectful.
We are peacefully protesting. We're going to be protesting peacefully outside of his house.
You got to be the bigger person, always.
We're here to peacefully protest.
No matter what they say, I'm not going to kick your ass. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do any of that stuff.
So we are peacefully protesting.
Try to stay off people's property.
There'll be no rioting, no looting, nothing like that. This is a peaceful protest. We're here to peacefully protest. We're going to be respectful of it. We're not going to trespass. We're not going to step on their property. The harassment of witnesses is baseless. We're not harassing any witnesses. So what we're going to do now, if you want to peacefully protest, you should be peaceful about it.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's not a threat. I'm an award-winning journalist. I'm just there to ask some questions. You have a right to do that. The other side is going to try to instigate and bring people there with the intention of provoking an incident. They want our side to seem unhinged and violent.
This has been declared an unlawful assembly. All persons must immediately leave the area and travel to the west.
You cannot control yourself. If you cannot control your temper, then don't come tomorrow. You're not welcome.
I don't want to bother innocent people.
I don't want any tough guys there tomorrow. We must be better than them. The most effective way to affect public opinion in the face of evil is to not respond with more evil.
Been threatening anyone. None of you is a threat. No one here laid a finger on anyone. Yet they're treating you like animals.
An event that I believe, under statute 268-13A, could most possibly be deemed a criminal act.
Nothing is stopping you from coming forward and telling the police what happened. You can avoid jail and doing that, but you're gonna have to talk. It's not an option to remain silent. You might as well tell the truth, let the world know what happened. Nothing is stopping you from telling the truth, from saving yourself. You know what happened that night. You know why John's body was on that line. You know why he has that huge laceration in the back of his head. You know that he was bleeding out.
Without including the allegation of witness intimidation, none of the claims listed in the charging documents are by themselves unlawful. Now, we will shift our focus to a singular, overarching truth that exonerates Aidan and renders that allegation baseless as well. We will propose that Turtleboy simply never committed witness intimidation. In order to assert that argument, we first need to demonstrate what real witness intimidation entails. The following is a fictional yet plausible scenario that has been crafted specifically for this illustrative purpose. The star witness is the store clerk, who was able to identify the defendant as a former employee by recognizing a small scar above his left eye. The apprehension of the defendant, who possesses an extensive criminal record, occurred at his home 2 days after the robbery. The other 2 men were never caught. The 3 got back into a stolen vehicle, and a police chase ensued. The assailants escaped by driving directly into the pursuing police car. 5 days after the arrest, the defendant's father shows up at the home of the store clerk. He became aggressive, threatening to assault the witness on the day of the trial if they showed up to testify against his son. Although the spectrum is wide and vague, all credible instances of witness intimidation adhere to the following consistent pattern. A witness is prepared to testify against a defendant, contributing to the pursuit of truth and justice. Subsequently, a third party, often a friend or relative of the defendant, tries to interfere with malicious intent, specifically to obstruct justice. However, in Aidan's case, you have the 8 witnesses, none of whom even saw Karen commit a crime, who are prepared to testify at the Reed trial. And then you have Aidan, who Karen Reed was unknown to before his reporting on the story, and whose public message in parallel to the trial is for all parties to testify truthfully about what they experienced that night. Meaning he has no malicious specific intent to obstruct justice. And that can mean only one thing. Aidan Kearney never committed the crime of witness intimidation. None of the words he's spoken or articles he's written ever carried with them the intent to purposefully subvert the justice system through intimidation or coercion of a witness. The entire case against him appears to be a complete fabrication.
God, we're gonna catch about 13 fucking copyright claims for watching this.
Why?
Because of all the fucking music.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yes. Probably need to stop it for a second.
How much longer is it?
30 seconds.
Oh.
But he started turning it up. We know what happens. We don't
Yeah.
want that to happen. But
I was just I've been chatting with Scott McGinnis, and he was talking about Sandra's case, and that Mizzy, they did a standout yesterday, and Resistance to Silence, that channel, taped Mizzy doing a speech. We should do, if you're interested in that, we should do like a deep dive into Sandra's case.
Yes.
She and her baby deserve, justice and attention. And Mizzy has her own channel, but I don't know how active she is.
I'm actually subscribed to that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
me too.
Maybe this is what you're talking about.
I'm sorry. Was this yesterday? Yesterday? Yeah, I guess so. That's what Scott, was this what you were talking about?
This is it.
Cool.
So it's
Thanks,
not very
Scott.
long. Check it out.
Thank you,
In
Scott.
May,
Yeah.
instead Sandra Birchmore's suicide will stand. We all know the FBI says she was murdered. I don't need this shit. Oh. She does it. It's clicking. Sorry, guys.
You go.
True. You should resign at this moment. You are not good for victims. We had a woman crying out here because of your office and the abuse she went through. Why haven't there been any state charges, Morrissey? At least charge them for larceny for the time they were doing things on the clock where they were billing Stone Police Department. Why haven't you at least charged them for that?
Amen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Amen.
Yeah. Scott, she
You
was
left Matthew Farrell
passionate.
on the streets for 3.5 years to hurt other people. And we both know he did. Because I've spoken to her. And I know you guys spoke to her. She's in the Stoughton report.
Yeah.
We came here today to remind you that until Sandra Birchmore gets full justice, we are not going anywhere. Woo! Say her name with me, guys.
Sandra Birchmore.
Sandra
Birchmore. Sandra Birchmore.
She deserves justice. And you failed her. You failed that young woman and her child.
Yes.
You're a disgrace.
Nicely done.
All right, Mizzy.
Yes,
Nice
Mizzy.
done.
She was
Excellent.
murdered. Resign. Norfolk County deserves more. They deserve better than you. You disgrace. Okay, I'm done.
All righty. Great job. Great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, it's just, there's no words. It's disgusting. He's such a
I don't
creep.
think there's anything left in this video, but we'll try it.
Yeah.
Orchestrated by prosecutors desperate to silence the journalist exposing their purported misconduct, an alleged cover-up of the murder of a Boston police officer.
Yeah. That's enough of that of that one.
No more music.
No,
Yeah.
that's enough of that one.
Although we loved it.
I think that was all of Mitzi's speech too.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the end of the show.
All right. It's awkward silence time.
No, I'm not gonna do that because I want more people to watch this outro. So if you stayed this long, dear God, just stay another 5 minutes and watch
Gotta watch
this outro.
Good Lord.
It's crazy.
All right, brother.
It really is. I don't know what.
Sisters, chat. Love
Good
y'all.
night.
Night.
Everybody.
Night, y'all.
Good night, ladies. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks
Keep
for
on-
having us, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks for having a channel because we love it here.
Yes. We love
Yep.
this rat
So,
house.
Cash App, Venmo,
Sure.
PayPal. We love the donations. We need them. But
Yes.
without further ado, here's.
Thanks,
is
Scott,
this
for
is
stopping
awesome.
by. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, Scott, appreciate it. Come
Love
back.
having you.
Come back. Jenny Lynn, Becky Ironhorn, get in the Discord.
Yeah.
Here we go, chat.
More.
Night, Diane G, Gary B, Stacy.
Night.
ChatRats, y'all ready? Light it up. Light it up. It's that time. Let's roll. Got the crew on the dial and we setting out east. Rat daddy at the wheel on a trail for the beast. Toy got receipts and a pocket full of names, and we busting out truths like we blowing out flames.
Eastbound and down, chat rats rolling heavy. Truth on our tailgate, justice riding steady. Mic in our hand and the signs all red. Ain't no lies slipping past what the chat rats said.
Got the playlist, angels taking charge. Law leans on the mic and her notes hit hard. Mary B's lifted, but she's sharper than attack. Dean's dropping questions while he's rolling in his Cadillac.
Breaker, rap mama here, got eyeballs on that shady scene. Y'all ready? Light it up, rats. 10, 4, 20. Northbound and bold, truth in the backseat. Chat rats got that heat, can't be beat. From the chat rats lounge to the courthouse gate. We ride for the truth and we show up to see that fate.